Okay.
Who's going to be editing this one, me or you?
I'll edit it.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I am Pyrrhic.
And I'm Victoria.
And this is now the second episode in our Let's Play discussion series, where we decided in this episode we're going to try and tackle a solid 25 episodes of Let's Play as opposed to the 5 that we covered in the first video.
Yeah.
Just because we figured that once we got a little bit of a baseline established with the first 5 episodes, we could probably read in batches, and then things that we picked out as being, like, especially egregious, we'd prioritize talking about those, because if you watch the previous episode, you know that Let's Play, for the most part, is competently done, and it has some examples of good writing, but without, you know, repeating the same thing over and over again about the strengths of the writing, it is good to look at some of the issues that are popping up now as problems in the writing of the story, right? So,
yeah, and I would definitely pinpoint, like, again, I don't want to bring up Lore Olympus too much, but unlike Lore Olympus, where we do go into fewer episodes per video, because of how bad each panel is, like, sequentially, and how it doesn't even sum up to, like, a coherent whole, I think Let's Play is at the level where it's like each episode is competently written in terms of, like, you're not going from panel to panel and going like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But I do think that when you zoom out a little and go like, okay, let's look at these 10 episodes in a row, what is the story saying here? That's where you start to run into problems, and I've already noticed, we kind of picked it out in the first 5 episodes where we said there's already too many characters, too many plots. Suffice to say, that does not slow down by episode 30, which is what we both read up to. Oh my gosh, there's like so many characters, so many plots, and it just keeps speeding up more and more, and it feels like I kind of thought I knew where the story was going, but having read Let's Play and knowing where it goes, I'm like, how did we end up there?
Right.
You know, that's where I'm at right now. So yeah, that's what I noticed with these 30 episodes. Like, especially with Charles.
Yeah, he kind of comes out of nowhere.
He totally comes out of nowhere, and I forgot how creepy he was.
Yeah.
Like, I legit, if I had never read this story before and I didn't know where it was going, I would think he was the villain.
That's what I thought.
Like, he gives off huge villain vibes.
Coming off a little strong.
Yeah, he's like a total creep. Like,
yeah.
It's, especially because she doesn't know, like, what's going on. Like, it's just like, whoa, this guy's kind of creepy.
I have a plane to catch. You got 5 minutes.
Yeah, and there's some stuff in there where I was reading it where I was like, this is, like, odd that it's, you, like, take a pause in the story to focus on something strange. And, like, we'll get into it, because I have, like, specific things.
Oh, dude, I have specific things, too, and it gave me flashbacks, because there's, like, 2 episodes that stand out to me as being really weird. There's an episode centering around the toilet paper roll mystery.
Wow.
Which I was just like, why? And then there's an episode centering around how to brew a cup of coffee. And I was just like, why? And then in this series of chapters, there was a specific scene between Abe and Dallas where I was just like, why?
Yeah. Yeah.
It went on too long, and I was like, what's going on?
There's lots of stuff like that. I mean, Marshall's feet.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was so weird. I was like, is this, like, why do I feel like I'm being exposed to something against my will here?
Well,
You know,
also
like,
the thing with, like, the characters going into the arcade and then you just show the different characters playing different games, it's like, why?
Yeah. It has nothing to do with, like, their strengths and weaknesses.
It has nothing to do with the characters.
No. So, yeah, I mean, the problems, like, the strengths of Let's Player, you have, like, obviously you have coherent script. You've got pacing that, for the most part, isn't horrendous. And then you've got consistency with the art and the backgrounds.
And the characters.
But with such a big cast, you start getting into problems where you're juggling their personalities and who gets how much screen time, and that's what we're going to be talking about, I think. So with that being said, do you want to just get into the discussion, or is there anything else?
No, I think we covered the basics. I think we can just get rolling. And we're probably going to go episode by episode, but we're not going to, like, you know, spend a long amount of time.
Yeah, we're not going to go
on each episode.
We're not
going to go deep.
Yeah, there's no need to go panel by panel unless something really sticks out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're picking up here with chapter 6 now.
So it's what? This is how many days since Marshall came in? I wanted to clarify the timeline while we reread it.
Yeah, so Marshall moves in, and then the next day she meets him again with her landlady, right? And so then this is the morning after that, because it's 3 in the morning. So he's been her neighbor for 2 days now. Because in the first episode, he moved in.
In the first episode, he moved in, and that was like, it was the morning.
Yeah.
But then the landlady forced her to meet him later that day.
Yeah, the same
And then
day.
that night, he started streaming.
Yeah.
And then she woke up the next morning and went to work, and she was, like, super tired.
Yeah, so that's in
and
this
then
chapter.
Charles asked her to make coffee. She's already been to work.
No, that's in this
chapter.
chapter.
That's this chapter. Okay.
Because we read up to
episode 10
time,
last
but
time.
we only discussed up to episode 5.
Right. Okay, so yeah, this is the second day.
Yeah, this is the second day of having Marshall as her
neighbor. What do you think about these panels where she kind of references video games?
I think it's fine. You know, it's for the it's like humor, right?
Yeah.
It's humor. It doesn't really bother me.
It's pretty meta.
Yeah, it's meta.
And then as the comic goes on, it gets very meta, where she's like, it's like I'm trapped in some cheesy...
Yeah, she said that in one of the chapters in this batch of 30. She goes, it's like I'm in a horrible story where the female author is trying to put, like, attractive men to get more female fans or something like that. And that's like, okay, Manji. Yeah, I see I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Right.
But this is like a easy way, because this extended scene of taking a shower and walking the dog and doing the coffee would have taken so many panels to do if you had done it visual storytelling wise, like normally. Right,
and it's another way to show time passing, because even though, like, I'm pretty sure by chapter 30 it's only been like 3 or 4 days, so she still has kind of the same problem where we're going day by day and she doesn't skip any days, but at least she doesn't go minute by minute.
Like 24?
Dude. Yeah. Yeah, we're like skipping hours, so like usually we only get one scene where they even have a cute little map.
Yeah.
Her coming off the bus, going to work. So yeah, I mean, like, she does a good job, like a fairly good job skipping time.
Yeah.
And like, but still orienting us to where we are. Establishing shot of her going into her office building.
Yeah.
And then she gets to the company. It's called Young Technologies, and then later we find out that she's the daughter of the founder of the company. It's like a small tech company, like web development and like program development, I guess, software development company. So like just like a small business that provides custom programs for other small businesses, I guess.
Yeah.
Good morning, Miss Young. You're certainly here quite early for work today. And this is when we're introduced to like the secondary love interest, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really get what he's saying here when he says, are you that eager for this morning meeting, or did you not sleep well? Like, what does not sleeping well have to do with coming into the office early? Because I would think you would have overslept if you didn't sleep well, and you would have come into the office late, right?
Well, if you didn't sleep well and you couldn't sleep, like you were an insomniac, you would just say F this and come into work early.
But it's not like she's coming into work at 3 a.m.
No, I know. Like, it's kind of weird. It's just that he like managed to guess that she didn't sleep well.
Yeah. I just don't see what not sleeping well has to do with being at work early. Because it's like, oh yeah, slept really well, got my 8 hours, got up, you know, did my thing, came in, I'm here nice and early.
Well, she wakes up really early anyway. She wakes up at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Which is very early.
Yeah.
For somebody like in normal life.
So I don't know what he's trying to say here. I don't know what the purpose of that. It's just like Manji wanted him to say that so yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She just had him say that so that Sam could be like, I didn't sleep well. Because otherwise she would have no reason to tell him I didn't sleep well.
Yeah.
Because she's not close with Charles at all. In fact, he's like really cold.
Yeah. And then he says, is there anything I can do to help? Because she didn't sleep well.
Mm-hmm.
But the way he talks is very stilted.
It's very stilted.
Robotic.
That's why I joke that he's like that's why we have this inside joke. Especially after watching the Let's Play anime.
You'll follow the story on Webtoon, right?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
That Charles is a friggin' robot or like a sleeper cell agent.
Yeah.
You know, because he just acts like a total creepy weirdo.
Yeah.
Especially in the early chapters.
Yeah, so they're talking about role assignments for a new contract. And so
Hey, Charles didn't sleep well either. He was up till 2 a.m. last night with a client.
Yeah. So, I mean, but nothing about him getting there earlier.
No,
like that,
no,
right?
He was already there before she arrived.
Exactly, so what are you talking
he
about,
sleeps
Charles?
in the office. He's Elon Musk.
Yeah, so they have this new client, and so she's only been on data entry, which is like a dog job, right?
Oh, yeah. I actually really like this scene, so I think it's worth going in depth.
Yeah.
Charles basically says, like, are you looking forward to the client meeting? We're going to give the role assignments for the project in this meeting. And then Sam actually asks, because she's only been working on data entry, which is like a very low-level, entry-level job. She's a 22-year-old, I guess she's a fresh graduate.
Yeah.
But she's actually, like, been shown to be, like, really talented because she's been able to develop her own game in her spare time. So she asks to be moved from data entry to work on the GUI, which is the graphical user interface, basically the program menu design.
Yeah.
The user interface for the project. And here we have Charles saying, You have the most attention to detail out of anyone on my team. You're the only one I can count on for such an important role. That's why you've been handling the data entry so far. But let us discuss this further at the meeting. Like, he basically kind of, instead of hearing her concern and being like, oh, I'll consider it, he just goes like, no, we'll discuss this later, and kind of like, you know, shuts her down right then and there.
Yeah.
So I think this was a very good, like, effective scene to show what kind of a person he is, because, like, out of the 3, like, love interests, you don't really know what Charles's deal is. Like, he's kind of he's very manipulative, actually.
Yeah.
Like, compared to Marshall, who's, like, you can read his expressions on his sleeve, Charles is very manipulative. Like, and at one point, he, like, almost pulls, like, a jigsaw, you know, to, like, psychologically trick Sam into doing something. That was weird, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that we're establishing this right here, where he's, like, kind of, like, a hard-to-read person who also just doesn't seem very considerate of other people's thoughts and feelings.
No, because he follows that up with, hey, can you make the coffee?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
somebody needs to make the coffee. So it's almost like he's saying this to the only, like, female software engineer in the company, and it's not a good look, Charles, bro.
Yeah, and we've got the same thing where she doesn't make any expression, which we've already seen. She's like, okay, dude. But she's not going to say anything to him because she's very non-confrontational. So she agrees to do it.
But it's a very effective scene.
Yeah.
It's a very effective scene where he's like, you're the only other person here who can make a decent cup of coffee. It's like, is that why, Charles? Is that really why?
Yeah.
You're asking me to make the coffee?
I'm useless with anything else in the kitchen.
Yeah, stupid.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And she just acquiesces, though.
Yeah.
Actually, because we see later on that he was just testing her to get her to do what he wanted her to do you think he's being a dick on purpose just to see if she would take it?
Yeah, probably, because he says, I knew I could count on you.
But he's, like, looking at her like,
And he's got that little,
pen.
Yeah, the pen, but he's, like, smirking at her, you know? So, probably.
Douche.
Yeah. He's like a...
He's playing mind games.
He's like a Malfoy type.
Yeah. So then she makes the coffee, and then we run into her colleague, Umed, and this is the person that we were saying should have been combined with one of her friends, because I think there's just way too many characters. She has, like, a nice colleague / acquaintance, and then, like, 2 friends and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So... blah, blah, blah. Umed says, he reveals that he's also a player of video games, or a video game player. That sounded really weird. Why did I say that?
Yeah.
Player of video games.
Yeah, he plays Underwatch, like Overwatch.
Yeah.
And so he's talking about being ranked, and they kind of have, like, a good banter between them, a friendly relationship. And he also, kind of like Vicky and Angela, he knows that she's not getting the attention she deserves.
Oh yeah, he's another, that's what I'm saying, like, it should have just been Vicky or Angela. One of the characters should have been combined.
Yeah.
With D. So, like, one of the characters should have been combined with D. You could have made her, like, a Starbucks person who's also an heiress, so she doesn't take her job very seriously, and she just works part-time because it's convenient for her to travel and do, like, a blogging thing.
Yeah.
And the other one can be, like, a colleague who Sam met after college that she happened to start, or she got her a job at the same company that her dad owns, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it would have been better for her to have a friend her age from college who's kind of irresponsible, and then an older friend.
Yeah.
And then the older friend could be, like, her work colleague.
Yeah, because it's like, the reason she has... It's like you've got 3 different areas and a different friend in each area because there's 3 different love interests, right? Confined to 3 different geological locations.
Yeah.
You've got the love interest at the coffee shop, and then the connection is D, because she doesn't talk to Link directly. D is kind of like the conduit in between them. Similarly, you've got the love interest at the office, who's Charles, and then you've got Lucy and Umed, who are kind of the conduits between her and Charles.
Yeah, but you should have just combined those characters together.
And then finally she's got Marshall, and there is no conduit with Marshall, right?
No.
So, I mean... And she's got the most hostile relationship with him. She's got a professional relationship with Charles, and then she's got, like, a friendly relationship with Link. And so, that's, like, the justification for all those characters, because they're in 3 different isolated geological locations, and they have no crossover with each other. Charles doesn't know about Link. Link doesn't know about Marshall. Marshall doesn't know about Charles.
No, that's actually not true. We just haven't gotten there yet.
Oh my god! So, forget what
becomes a yaoi comic.
Yeah. Like everything else on Canvas.
Yeah.
Everything on Canvas is like, you know, there's so much BL. Every single genre, the top series is BL, so it's very, very popular. I think people wanted this comic to be like that too. But, yeah, I mean, just, like, that's my thing, but it's like, you don't really have to have 3 different guys, 3 different locations, nothing to do with each other, and then, like, you're different groups of people in each location.
No, and that's why I think the high school shoujos always work so well, because everyone's in, like, a single location. There's, like, so many reasons for them to, like, run into each other all the time.
Yeah.
And you can have all the drama because, like, teenagers are inherently dramatic. So I think it should have been something like Marshall could have still been the VTuber and he like trashed her series, but I don't think he should have been her neighbor. I think it should have been something where it's like he trashed her series and then
He could have been a client for the job.
yeah, that would have been interesting. He could have been a client for the job, or he could have been like because they talk about how they're going to go to a con. She could have already been at the con advertising her game or something, like set up like her friends talk her into setting up a booth at the con, and then she runs into Marshall there because she's in like LA. Because, like, there's all these influencers in the city. Yep. So I'm assuming it's, like, LA. She convinces him to replay her game, and then they stay in touch, and they don't have to be neighbors.
Yeah.
I think the neighbors thing was just a convenient excuse for them to live next to each other, but honestly, like, given the income disparity between the two of them, like, why would Marshall live in a friggin' apartment?
It's the most shocking thing to put at the end of the first episode, right? It's like, oh my gosh, really? Like, what an episode,
No, but you could have started it with her at the con.
Yeah.
She could have been like, you know, my dreams are getting crushed in front of my eyes, and then you could have had her at a booth in the con watching the video on her phone, and then like someone comes up to the con and is like, oh, you're the creator of this roommate game? Like, pff, good luck, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't know how that would work because she's an indie game developer, so I don't necessarily know if she would have a booth at the con. That seems like a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
But you could have made her a little higher up. Like, instead of, like, having no fans and then suddenly getting destroyed by Marshall, you could have had it so that she had, like, a little side gig going on and she'd steadily built a fan base, because then there's more for her to lose.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, this is my first game and I posted it a couple weeks ago and I only had, like, 6 reviews and then Marshall review bombed me. It was like, I was actually getting pretty successful. I created a booth at the con and then, like, you know, I got steamrolled.
Yeah.
Although I don't know enough about the economics of cons to know how much they cost and, like, all that stuff. Because, like, you would never see, like, our YouTube channel showing up at the con. You know, you'd probably have to have, like, hundreds of thousands of subscribers or something before you even get to that level.
The most straightforward thing that I could think of, because they're kind of setting it up as a plot point later, she's going to be working on Indigeneer's website as their software engineering firm, right? You could have made Marshall like a client, and while he's like, oh yeah, you know, I want to make something like Twitch, like some streaming service, and I want you guys to help me or something like that, or I'm disputing something with them, or I want
to make an app.
Yeah, I want to make an app, like a companion infrastructure plugin for my channel or something like that. And then the first thing he does to test it out is he trashes her game, not realizing that she is the one who made the game, and she's also the one working at this software engineering firm.
You know, you could have just cut the whole software engineering firm thing to begin with, and I think what would have been even more interesting than that is if she was a fellow YouTuber.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
She
Dueling
been,
YouTubers, because, then that would totally change her personality.
And it would totally change the story.
She wouldn't be like a stick in the mud, coming out of her shell, Bill Dung's Ramon type thing.
Yeah.
She would have to have some sort of, like, confidence and personality. I mean, she has a personality, but you would have to have, like, a stronger personality to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
But I also like the whole rivalry aspect, and I think that's, like, the most compelling part of the plot right now is the rivalry, and then, like, once, like, they become friends or whatever, it's not as interesting to me. But yeah, I mean, if you wanted to go with the same plot, I guess her being the client, or him being her client for some reason or another, and then trashing her game, not knowing that it's her, that would have been, I guess, an easier way to put them in close proximity than just having him be her neighbor, which is totally coincidental.
Yeah, because you could put a timeline on it as well. Like, we have to work with him for 6 weeks or something, and then by the end of the 6 weeks,
it could be like 3 months, and
Yeah.
then at the end of the 3 months, she's like, "Oh, I don't hate him as much as I used to. After this, I'll never see him again."
Exactly.
Is that really how you want this to go, Sam? You
Yeah,
know?
and that adds to, like, the plotting and the time pressure.
Yeah,
for
you could
everything
have like
that,
funny
so.
scenes where Charles and Marshall are both in a meeting room together, and they're both trying to get Sam's attention.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I've known Sam for 6 years. What does that mean? you know?
Yeah.
You've only known him for 6 weeks, you know?
Exactly. So, I mean, but
What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, like, not to try to rewrite the entire story, but, I mean, the fact that she wanted 3 different love interests separated in 3 different locations, it's just a lot. It's a lot to keep track of.
I mean, if that's a lot to keep track of, and it's like, on top of that, you also have the 3 friends, the coworker, the secretary,
Yeah.
her dad, her mom, you know, like, there's just so many characters. And then all of the people in her gaming guild.
Uh-huh.
So many characters.
Yeah. To the point that when you cut to scenes between those characters, it's like, this is padding.
Yeah, I
like,
know.
what is this?
Yeah.
So, they have that meeting
Yeah.
that Charles was referring to earlier.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he gives all the other guys the
Assignments.
yeah, the heavy duty kind of programming work, and then he assigns the intern, which is this guy Jacob, who just
Shaggy.
He's wearing the Shaggy color scheme. It's like a great visual storytelling.
Yeah,
thing, right?
I know.
So he's basically Shaggy, and he's going to be working on the GUI. And so Sam, again, we have that visual of her lack of expression where her glasses kind of frost over.
And her hands frozen on her pad, but she's not writing anything.
Yeah, and Umed notices, and
She gets assigned to data entry again, even though she just asked to work on the GUI.
Yeah, he picks up on it, though. And so those are all the files. And then this is Lucy. Oh, man, I really don't like Lucy's colors, man.
I really don't like Lucy's design. She looks like she's from Totally Spies.
Yeah, but the avocado green of the store, like the office,
yeah,
with her orange hair and then the bright blue shirt.
You know, the colors in Let's Play are so bad, but her black and white art is so good.
Yeah.
And the Copic marker style sketches were so good that I think she should have just kept it mostly black and white with like minimal colors.
But I mean, Webtoon wants full color. That's the problem.
Yeah, but it doesn't look as good. Like, it's not as aesthetic.
Gotta have that full color.
But the full color looks so garish.
Yeah, so...
Especially with the 3D assets. Yeah. The backgrounds could have been all black and white, and the characters could have been that Copic marker color scheme, and then just give them, like, eye colors and hair colors, and that's it.
Yeah, it's very, like, 2000s anime, stylish, Vocaloid style. And so Lucy is the office secretary, and she tells Sam that her dad wants to see her. Mm-hmm. And so we're taking some time here to also show that Umed is going to talk to Charles, presumably about the role designations during the meeting. And so then she arrives outside of her dad's office, and that's the end of the chapter.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's the CEO, and he's Samuel A. Young Sr., so presumably she's named after him.
Yeah, Samara.
Yeah. So she goes in, and he's like...
He gets an anime. He gets an anime introduction with this all black silhouette.
And he's like a super, like, wimpy, not wimpy, but like very big teddy bear, like softy dad.
He's basically like Hughes from Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
My daughter and my wife.
Yeah. You won't talk to your dear old dad. You used to tell me everything, now you don't even want to chat. And so then he, talking to the picture of his wife as if she's dead, but she's just filming a commercial.
Yeah, she's filming a commercial.
In Florida. She's like an actress.
You know, I don't like how Let's Play has so many characters. Like, I think there's way too many characters for its own good.
Yeah.
But I think the sheer way that it gives, like, everyone a very distinct characterization, like, her mom's the Viagra lady, like, it's like, that's funny, you know? And it's like, now, like, that sticks out to me when I think of that character.
Yeah.
The dad is very clearly, like, a stereotypical overprotective dad. You know, everyone's character is, like, very clear within the first few sentences that they show up.
Yeah.
The only person who's not very clear is, like, freaking Charles.
Right.
That's why he comes off like a villain.
He's very out of place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she calls up the mom, and they have a conversation.
Yeah.
There's just, you know, more humor. And you've got the dad's hand, like, more desperate.
Yeah.
And he says, daughter, please. And Manji's comedic timing is decent, right? It's, like, very anime humor, 2000s anime humor. And so...
You can tell she reads a lot of shoujo anime.
Yeah. So, that's just that interaction. And then we cut back to Charles. His last name is Jones.
Yeah.
Charles Jones. Sounds like a fake name.
I know!
But, yeah. So Umed's talking with him about, like, you know, it's total BS that you gave the GUI job to Jacob, who's the Shaggy intern. And so Charles gives him the same BS story that says, oh, Sam's got a great attention to detail.
Jacob doesn't have the same attention to detail. He's an artist. Working on the GUI would be better suited for him. He's a graffiti artist, you know?
And that comes back later with, like, color theory and stuff like that. And so then Charles is kind of doing more exposition stuff about how Sam's going to be the owner of the company because she's the daughter of Samuel. And so then he says, well, Jacob doesn't have that opportunity. Yeah. But it turns out that Jacob is... His family
owns the biggest chain of payday loans.
Yeah, so... you're showing him favoritism in hopes of getting a softer contract from his family's company, so busted. So Charles is manipulative.
He's very manipulative and underhanded.
Yeah.
Very, very manipulative and underhanded.
Yeah.
Like, to the point that it's like, I didn't realize until I read through the batch of chapters and then sat down and talked about it just now, that he probably asked her to make coffee to, like, troll her. To see what she would do.
Yeah.
Because he was looking back at her and smirking. I didn't catch that until just now. Like, I thought, I was like, oh, maybe he's just thoughtless and he doesn't know how that's coming off. But he did it on purpose. Yeah,
totally. He totally did it on purpose. And then he kind of talks about how good everybody else is at programming, talking about Alex and Kwang Sun, and then Freddie having dyslexia. And so it's like you've got like reasons for why you're seeing his internal logic here.
Yeah.
Nothing just happens just for the sake of happening in these earlier chapters.
Yeah.
So that's refreshing to see. And then Umed decides, because he was originally supposed to work with Jacob on the GUI,
Right.
he decides to give up his spot to Sam, and so that's what he's saying here. And so Sam comes out of the meeting with her dad, and then the files are all gone, and she sees that Umed is working on the data entry.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he tells her, I'm doing this now, and you're going to go help Jacob with the GUI, which is what
Yep.
you wanted to do. So then that is the end of that chapter once you get there.
Yep. Yep. So then Sam's in charge of training Jacob, even though she's working on the GUI, and then we cut to Sam at the coffee shop. Link basically tries to ask her out.
Yeah.
Tell me more about it. It's still in its early stages, but it's a crafting resource management game. So she's already working on her second game.
Yeah.
After Ruminate failed.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm wondering, do you have any plans Friday night? There's a new Mason Dorn movie that'll be out. I thought we could see it. And then she says, my Friday nights are one of my guild raids, World of Warquest. So then she basically turns him down, but she doesn't seem to realize that it was a date.
Yeah.
And he then asks about Saturday afternoon, and he wants to take her on a hike, and she says, oh, I can't hike. Sorry, I have asthma.
Yeah.
You could take Angela and Vicky. And then he's like, oh, I thought it could just be us. And then totally oblivious walks away. And then Dee explains that she's never known Sam to date, even though she's known her since college. But I guess, so Dee's only like 22 or 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all just like in their early 20s.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so apparently since she's known her, and she's known her since college, Sam's never dated.
Yeah.
So we get some character backstory and see how oblivious she is.
Yeah.
She's never been interested in anyone like that. Then could she ever be interested in me?
Yeah.
Question mark.
Yeah.
Cut back to Sam's apartment, and she's, I guess, working on her new game. I should have heard back from Indigeneer by now on the status of my account. I wonder if they're willing to fix the damage caused by martial law's followers. If they don't tell me, I'll have to find someplace else to publish this app game. So she's getting kind of like psyched out. She runs the game. She's got like some, you know, basic setup. She needs an artist. So you're already setting up that plot point that comes back like maybe 10 episodes from now when she finds Marshall's sketchbook.
Uh-huh.
The one thing I'll say is that she does a good job setting up plot points, but I think the way that they're kind of prioritized and the way that they come back, I think the plotting could have been tighter.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of stuff that could have been cut.
Yeah.
You know, to just go straight to the point, because it's like the whole thing where they go to the arcade and you introduce all these new characters, it's like, I think she quickly figured out after she did that, because they don't come back for the next 20 episodes, she was like, oh crap. Like,
yeah.
there's too many characters.
Right, right.
She's like, I have to prioritize Marshall.
Yeah, she probably realized that it makes for something interesting, but it's like difficult because when you have a story that's a romance, you want to come up with reasons why the characters can't be together. So you're like, okay, instead of focusing on that, let's just focus on these guys for a while, instead of showing the characters do anything that isn't necessarily romantic. Because it's like, another thing I noticed is that, and we'll get into this more, is like, instead of focusing on all those characters at the arcade, you could have focused more on Sam. Because she doesn't feel anything towards any of these people who are interested in her. She doesn't feel anything really towards Link or Marshall or Charles, like, at all.
Well, she thinks that Marshall's good looking when he's running around shirtless.
Yeah, but that's like super brief.
Yeah.
You know? You could have had like a longer extended scene, like instead of like, hey, let me drive you to work, hey, here's my shirt. Just a regular normal scene where they're interacting normally, or instead of like ratcheting up the heat all of a sudden, right?
Yeah, that was weird. Like, whenever Marshall's talking to her, because they, like, basically, she helps him, like, fix his computer, and they spend, like, an entire night just hanging out, eating pizza, and she doesn't think anything like, oh, I didn't realize how much I had in common with Marshall.
No.
Or he's such a cool guy.
No.
You know, Monica must be really happy.
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
No.
So, like, even compared to shoujo manga is, like, expert at that, where it's, like, the characters spend a lot of time together, where it's, like, friggin', you know, oh, club activities, Honda-san and, you know, Hajime-san, you two pair together, and then the female character's like, oh, I can't believe I have to work with Hajime. He sucks, you know.
Yeah.
And then by the end, she like cuts her hand on like a spade or something, and then Hajime's like, oh, you're such a big klutz. Here, and then rips his stupid school shirt and then wraps it around her cut. And he goes like, be more careful next time.
Yeah.
I won't be around to save you.
Yeah.
And then she's like, his fingers are so rough, but when he said that, it felt like he cared. You know?
And then she's like thinking about that for the
Yeah,
rest
and then
of the day.
she looks at her hand, and then she's like blushing. She's like, "Oh, what does this mean?" You know,
Yeah.
like Hajime's not as bad as I thought. You
Yeah.
know, we don't get anything like that in Let's Play.
No.
We just get scenes where the guys are all shirtless, and Sam's going like, "Why are there so many shirtless guys?"
Exactly. Like, there's no romance. You
Yeah.
know? There's no actual romance. It's just kind of like awkward.
So I don't know why she doesn't spend like. He's her neighbor. I think the neighbor angle, because most neighbors don't spend a lot of time interacting with each other in this day and age. The neighbor angle doesn't work. I think she should have picked a different angle, like coworkers or something.
Exactly, coworkers.
Like, I think it should have been something where it's like, he had a secret YouTube channel. She didn't even know about it. Like, later on it's revealed that, like, she was a fan of his.
Yeah.
But it would have been more interesting if he was a coworker, and then you could still have Charles as, like, the boss.
Yeah.
And, like, Marshall's, like, the slacker that she's constantly picking up after. And it turns out that, like, and she's like, oh, he must be a party animal. He always comes into work, like, so tired. But it turns out he has a secret YouTube channel where he, like, spends all night filming and, like, doesn't give a crap about his day job.
And it can be like a YouTube channel like that guy, Corpse Husband, who never shows his face.
Or Donkey.
Yeah, or Donkey. And she's, like, in love with that YouTuber, and she thinks he's the best, and he's so funny, and she watches him all the time during lunch, and it's this guy who's her loser coworker.
Yeah, who never talks to her.
Yeah.
He's monosyllabic at work, always has big bags under his eyes.
Yeah.
And he's a total slacker who, like, does everything in, like, a slapdash way.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, instead of making her, like, I like how she's asking for the GUI assignment.
Yeah.
You can make her a real go-getter who's like, you know, I need to show that I'm ready to take on the role of CEO, so I want to help our company succeed. And you can still have Charles being, like, the mentor, manipulative mentor type character.
Yeah.
You can keep that dynamic, but then it's so much more contained.
Yeah.
And then Link can be, like, the guy who runs the coffee shop downstairs, but he's also he's like an EMT, too.
Yeah.
So he can be a part-time, you know, he does that part-time, and he's also an EMT. So, like, she knows Link, but he's not her friend. He's just some guy who works in the downstairs coffee shop.
Yeah.
And then it's, like, a contained location.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of unrealistic that there's that many good-looking guys in, like, one building, but, you know, like, it's much more, then you don't have, like, the forced contact, where it's, like, why, like, he's her neighbor, so it doesn't really make sense for them to keep running into each other all the time.
Right, and then the only link she has to link is her roommate, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, well, then you've got the video games with Marshall, that's what they have in common. She games with all her friends, and then she has all these friends. It's almost like Manji's using all these other characters to tell you what kind of person Sam is, instead of Sam herself telling you what kind of person she is. It's like her dad gets the point across that she is frail, right?
Yeah.
Because he's
And
overprotective. Yeah. And then her friends Vicky and Angela, they're there to show that she's, like, non-confrontational.
And she's also overprotected by her friends, too.
And she's overprotected by her friends, but she's also nerdy, right?
Yeah.
She has nerdy hobbies and interests. Otherwise, because she never, like, thinks about that stuff or talks about that stuff at all.
No.
I mean, unless Vicky and Angela and Dee and, like, her dad were in the comic, you wouldn't know that she was frail. You wouldn't know that she had no dating history with guys, and you wouldn't know that she was nerdy and into cosplay.
Well, here's the thing. She's, like, socially awkward and socially anxious, but she has so many effing friends.
Yeah.
that always threw me for a loop, because I was like, you know, when I was socially awkward or, like, nervous around people, I had no effing friends. I couldn't talk to people in real life without, like, stammering or whatever and feeling self-conscious, and I had no friends.
Yeah.
These are people that have her same hobbies and interests. It's a diverse cast of people, diverse age ranges, diverse backgrounds. I don't even know how her and Olivia and her and Abe even met. And then they all play World of Warcraft together? Like, did they all meet online or something? Like, but what are the odds that they would all be in the same city?
Yeah, I don't know.
And then, so yeah, she has so many effing friends for somebody who's socially awkward.
Yeah.
Like, I think she has more friends than Marshall does.
Yeah.
Which is just like, what the heck, you know?
Yeah. And she's, like, super introverted. She doesn't really talk about herself. I mean, she's kind of boring, right? And that's that she's supposed to be kind of boring.
She's supposed to be kind of boring to the point where she's like, I don't know why any guy would like me.
Yeah. Like, when Link was talking to her, he was, like, interested. He was, like, over-interested. Not over-interested, but he was way more interested in her and talking to her than she was in him. Yeah. And she was really just talking about herself. Not because, like, she's self-obsessed or anything like that, but she didn't reciprocate
She's
that.
oblivious. She's like one of those people who, like, really likes her hobbies and doesn't really talk about much else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's understandable. She's not an unlikable character. She's a very realistic character.
Yeah.
But people like that don't tend to have, especially if you have social anxiety, they don't tend to have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Especially because she said she never socialized in college. So how did she meet Vicky and Angela?
Yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, when guys saw Vicky and Angela, they didn't really go for me. It's like Vicky and Angela seem way more outgoing and social than her.
Yeah.
I could see Vicky and Angela going to like parties, like nerdy parties, but still parties. Sam said she locked herself in a room and played Ruminate.
Yeah.
Or worked on Ruminate. And it's like, I was the same way. I locked myself in my dorm room and like drew. So it's like, I had no friends. Like, here's the thing, if you're like somebody who's very into your hobbies, from personal experience, and like, I'm sure people in the comments can like affirm this, if you have like hobbies that take up a lot of your time, you don't spend a lot of your time socializing. Like, I spend 0 time socializing.
Yeah.
You spend 0 time socializing.
Oh, yeah.
We're not at work, we're filming these videos, you know?
This is the only socializing
Yeah,
we
this
do.
is the only socializing we get.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I don't have a lot of friends in real life, and I can't imagine Sam has like friggin' like 10 friends. It's like,
so many friends.
she's so popular.
Yeah.
But she's so socially awkward.
Yeah.
How does that work?
She's also like the one that everybody is kind of like gravitating around.
Yeah, she's like the center of the friend group.
Yeah.
And it's like, how does that happen? Did she like save them? Like, did she save all of their lives, you know? Is it like one of those animes where it's like, oh yeah, Kotaro, you know, he's frail and he may be a little bit boring, but he really saved me. He prevented me from committing, you know, the S word.
Unaliving
Sudoku.
myself.
He prevented me from committing Sudoku when I was young, you know?
Yeah.
Kotaro, what's so great about him? You know, like that's like a very anime trope,
It
you
is,
know?
yeah. You got the character who's like always smiling and always brings everybody together. And
Yeah.
Like, hey, you don't have lunch, you can have some of
You know
my
what it's
lunch.
like? It's like freaking Call Ho Na Ho. It's like Shah Rukh Khan.
हाँ? तुम्हें ऐसा क्यों लगता है कि दुनिया का सारा बोझ तुम्हारे कमजोर कंधों पर? तुम हो कौन? Who are you? Shh, don't judge me.
तुम मेरी जिंदगी के बारे में जानते क्या हो?
ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं, लेकिन मुझे इतना मालूम कि तुम्हारे पास जो है तुम्हारे हिसाब से कम है.
Yeah. In that movie, like everyone, he's the guy who like facilitates everyone else's life happiness.
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of like, oh, he's kind of a boring guy who blends into the background. So it's like, you know, why does he know so many people? But that's because he's super nosy and butts into their business, and that's how he makes so many friends. Like, these are the people who are like, who are you? Like, go away, but he never goes away, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And he just meddles in people's lives. But she doesn't do that. She keeps to herself. She's super introverted. So it's like,
Yeah.
how does a person like that get friends?
It's again, like, you have a very, like, anime premise, and you have all these anime tropes, like the one being the center of the friend group, but then you don't really have the execution being the same that it would be, like, in an anime or a shoujo manga.
I mean, it is, but not like a good anime or shoujo manga.
Yeah, it's like, she was, like, able to copy and paste the elements that she liked from that, but she didn't quite stick the landing in terms
Or didn't
of...
understand what makes a decent shoujo manga versus like a great shoujo manga.
Yeah, this is more like wish fulfillment and just funny because it's like Sam's like out of all the weird stuff that's happening, her underreaction is like comical.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
But it's like very like wait a second, you know, like you're telling me she's got all these friends and everything.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of like a freaking harem anime.
Yeah.
But it's not like as sleazy as a harem anime. Like the male characters in this comic have personalities and like goals and aspirations and backstories, and they're like sympathetic characters. They're not just like waifu bait where like they have no personality except like slobbering over the main character who's
And then-
completely unremarkable in every way.
Yeah, their type, whatever their type
Yeah,
is.
whatever
yeah.
the type, you know, tsundere or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're much more fleshed out love interest, but it is like a harem anime where it's like the main character by all like rights and purposes is not that interesting, but so many people like her, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know why.
She's like the default main character in a dating sim game. you
Yeah,
know?
and she even references dating sim games. I thought the scene where Charles was asking her
Yeah.
to dinner was animated made me laugh.
Yeah, it's
I
hilarious.
was like, oh, self-awareness. Yeah, I think if she went that route and it was more funny and self-aware and like meta, I would, you know, and she doesn't take it seriously. You can tell she doesn't take it seriously. So I'm not too hard on it, but like just with the first 30 chapters, that's what I'm starting to notice is like
Yeah.
these things don't really add up. And like she's got elements of tropes here, but it's not like adding up to a full picture of like what would be a really good dramatic story.
Yeah.
But she's also not going for a really good dramatic story. She's just
No.
kind of, she even lampshades it. She's like, the reason I have so many shirtless guys in this small span of chapters is because I want more female readers.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
so she's working on this app. She needs an artist because she sucks at art. And then Loud, you know, dialed up to 11, Loud yelling.
Yeah.
How did I get hit? I totally dodge rolled that. Oh god, she spilled coffee all over her keyboard.
Yep.
And then you get the black and white art, which I think she should have. I think she should have done the whole comic like this. That would have been like, this art is so much better.
Yeah.
Then she runs over to Marshall's apartment.
The game lag. Yeah, that's why I got hit. I'm a good gamer. Seriously, come on. I think my controller is broken. And then the angry white girl walk in impact font. You know, it's very self-aware. It's very nostalgic of the times.
Yeah, it is.
And she's about to knock on his door.
But then she gets kind of not very good at confrontation.
No.
And she starts panting, social anxiety.
Yeah.
And then she's like, maybe I can complain to the landlord or call the cops. And then she's like, no, I can't call the cops.
Yeah.
And then she decides to confront him. Door knock no jutsu, very Naruto.
The Naruto is leaking out.
Yeah.
And so then I like that they cut away. I like how she cuts away so you don't actually see the confrontation.
You don't actually see the result of the knock. You just see a very pathetic piece of paper.
Yeah, you're
slid under the door.
Please be quiet. And then at the little illustration at the bottom, I'm such a chicken shit. Those little spirits around
Kitsune
her.
thingies, yeah. Rachel claims to read manga, but I don't see any of that in War Olympus.
I just saw the Krillin face that one time on Aries. It gave me nightmares.
Okay. So, what chapter is this?
This is chapter 9.
Chapter 9.
Yeah, so he chugs that glass of water, sees that you're too loud.
Yep.
And then we cut back to Sam waking up.
The next morning. So this is the third day?
Yes.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it is. It's the second day was yesterday. After she couldn't sleep, had to go to work. So this is the third day.
Yeah. Yeah, and she has a dog that she can talk to, so she's not constantly in her own thoughts. And then she sees the ripped up paper, and she tapes it together. And then she sees that it's a note. Sorry about the noise. Soundproofing arrives tomorrow from martial law.
That dog reminds me of my cat. When he's bored, he goes into where we keep our receipts and just rips them all off.
Oh yeah, no returns.
Yeah. I'm so bored.
Yeah.
I know. And then she freaks out. He figured out it was me who left the note, but he gave everyone in the building a note because he's a psycho.
Yeah. So then we cut back to the office, and she's talking to Jacob about GUI design. She says, do you have any questions? And so he makes a joke like, oh, I thought it was genius under influence, not graphical user interface. I thought we'd do some sweet substances, man. It's just to establish that this guy, he like jokes, but he's actually smarter than he seems.
Yeah, he like gives off a slacker vibe, but he's actually smarter than he seems. And I like how she drew Umed in the background, like watching the two of them. Like, he's, again, another protective coworker who wants to mentor Sam.
Yeah. So then he talks about her prototype and how the colors that she chose for the prototype are light orange and light green. And so he goes, you've got the alternate shading staggered between each row of this table, and the colors you chose are complementary in a ledger, but it's a problem for users who have a red-green color blindness called
Deuteranopia.
Yeah, deuteranopia. So then he explains, and there's a neat graphic here that Manji made, and so he says that all they're going to see is a light yellow table. And so he says it's the most common form of color blindness in the world, so that's something. And it's stuff where I go like, oh yeah, I've seen that at my job. So it's just, again, it's refreshing to see that, because you're sitting here reading this and you're like, well, what does this have to do with anything, Manji? Like, why are you talking about, like, color blindness in the office? But it's like, it shows that this guy Jacob is smart. He talks about how he's friends with Banksy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, me and my friend talk about color theory all the time. So, and it's like it's a legitimate thing that you wouldn't have thought about unless you had that specific skill set of color theory and stuff. So it was like an interesting little aside, right? And then that's another thing that's done in manga all the time, is they have those interesting little asides. Like Blue Theory does that all the time, where they talk about this technique and that painting technique and things like that.
Yeah, there was this manga that I was reading, I think I told you about it, it's called There's Something Wrong With Us, where it's kind of like a thriller/romance.
That's
but
a confectionery one,
Yeah,
right?
but it's more emphasis on like the mystery thriller side, I think, like in the drama. But it's, like, the whole thing takes place in a traditional Japanese sweets store with like this family that's had a sweet store in their like family for like hundreds of years or like several generations. And they talk about traditional, like, Japanese sweets. And it's really interesting, like, because there's a whole, like a lot of things in Japanese culture. There's a whole meaning and, like, poetry and ceremony behind it. Like, it's all related to tea ceremony, you know? And tea ceremony is, like, super intricate, ritualized. thing where they have lots of different symbolism and meanings and all that stuff. So it was really interesting, like learning about like, oh yeah, when we do the tea ceremony, we have to do XYZ steps because that symbolizes, you know, the changing of the seasons, you know, and it's like, that's really interesting. And that's like, I would say 50% of the manga.
Right.
And like, that's why I kept reading it, because like the plot was okay, you know, it was a little bit like soapy.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh yeah, the confectionery stuff was really interesting, and she drew the sweets really well.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, this is like the best part of that comic.
Yeah.
It's like all the stuff about the sweets.
And it adds to like I don't mean to use the word world building. I don't think it's the best word for this, but
No, it's ambiance, I would say.
it's like ambiance, and it's adding like more of a realistic quality to the work environment, right? It's adding more weight to the work environment.
If your story's like tropey or it's set in the real world, like there's something wrong with this, is like tropey set in the real world, it makes your comic stand apart.
Yeah.
Or it makes your story stand apart. Like Danganronpa has a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's just like the more you know, but it's like but it's a character saying it, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And like same thing with Persona.
Yeah.
Persona does that all the time, and it's like in an otherwise tropey, very anime, unrealistic, cartoonish game, like those things stand out and like make you think and go like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was from Persona, you know.
Yeah, and so it also makes you wonder, knowing how she's written the story so far, what else this character is going to contribute to the story, and then if that's going to come back. Oh no! What a disappointment. Forget everything I said. Screw this comic.
Manji is on the same level as Rachel.
Oh, she's horrible, yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting little aside, and then it kind of fleshes out the workplace a little bit more. And it makes the characters stick out from each other.
Stand out. Yeah, they have a very strong, that's what I'm saying, they all have very strong voices.
Yeah.
Like within the first few sentences of their introduction, you know which character does what.
Yeah. And so she gets a text message from the guild master, and then there's a location and a time for a little event.
Oh my god, it's called Frankie's Bear.
Yeah.
Cancel Manji! You can't say that anymore. Even Lizzo got canceled for it.
You're gonna have to quack that out. And so we see Angela, who's a dental hygienist. Yeah, and so a text from the guild master about a meeting for tonight. Vicky is stretching. She sees her text message, and then Dallas on his drum kit gets a text message, but he hasn't been introduced yet, so we don't see his head. And then Olivia is putting on makeup, and she gets a message as well. And so then that's the end of chapter 9.
I like how she drew her cochlear implants here.
Yeah.
So here we have episode 10, and at the beginning you have this little thing that says DKP, stands for Dragon Kill Points or Dungeon Kill Points. It's used in MMORPGs as a form of currency to bid on or buy items that are received in said dungeons. Awarded in different ways, time spent in a dungeon, how many bosses are killed, etc. So then we see that all of the members of the guild are assembling at basically knockoff Chuck E. Cheese. But first we have Sam checking her mail and changing before she goes to the guild meeting. Then you have like Marshall being a creep.
Yeah.
Please excuse me, but I need to get to my mailbox.
Yeah, and then he goes, hello, neighbor.
Excuse my reach.
Yeah.
Hi, hello, neighbor.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that, or not interesting, but it's refreshing that Marshall's huge. Like, he's 6'3", but like, Mangji doesn't really emphasize the size difference between Sam and Marshall.
No.
To the same extent that I've seen in other comics. Like, forgetting Lore Olympus, which is, like, obviously over-exaggerated because it's fantasy and, like, extra gross.
Yeah.
But even, like, Midnight Poppyland.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
Midnight Poppyland set in the real world.
Scary.
And the main character looks like a kid, like, or like a hobbit or something. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. She's so small. And that guy, his name's
He just
Tora.
keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, like, to the point that it's comical.
He looks like Max from Cats Don't Dance.
He's like Slender Man mixed with Max. It's ridiculous.
And, like, the person who draws it always puts a lot of focus and attention to detail on his forearms.
And his hands.
And his hands. It's like, he looks like some kind of, like a minotaur or something, you know, like a beast.
Yeah, he's got like
so
these like
muscular,
veiny, bony claws.
Yeah.
And like thick ham forearms.
His forearms are just like huge. It's crazy.
Really crazy.
Yeah. So his voice is all hoarse because he was streaming. Are you okay? And he goes, I'm feeling fantastic. I just got done with a 12-hour charity live stream. and I thrash my voice through the process, but I'll be just fine after I get some rest. So the fact that it's a 12-hour charity live stream gives you more indication of his character, and he's still maintaining this like upbeat, happy persona, even though he looks horrible. And she keeps drilling it in how horrible he looks. Right? And so he goes, if I was a lesser man, then my ego would be hurt. And she's like, wow, he's really cocky. Ha ha ha. And so then he says, oh, I'm sorry, like, I wanted to apologize for all the racket and everything like that. I'm getting soundproofing panels soon, and once those are installed... Okay, so this is before. This must have been... Because that's what he does for a living. He doesn't have a job. He was just at home all day while she was at work,
He must have done the charity live stream while she was at work.
Yeah.
He didn't film last night. He must have, like, not filmed last night out of consideration, and then filmed that morning. Yeah.
And so she says that, oh yeah, you know, now that you mentioned the soundproofing about that note, and he goes, oh, you're the one that left the note. And she's like, oh, frick, you didn't know that it was me? And he goes, you didn't have to leave the note, you know, you could have just, pounded on the door, told me to shut up, and she says it's not that easy. So then she leaves abruptly because she doesn't want to be late for her guild meeting, and so she talks about the DKP, and he goes, what is this, 2007, right? So then we get an establishing shot of this Frankie
Quack Bear.
Yeah, Frankie
Quack Bear.
Yeah, Quack Bear.
You just had to say quack in real life.
Yeah, Frankie Quack Bear.
Quack!
So she gets there and she's waiting for everybody else to return, or to show up, right?
Yeah, to show up.
And
then you get the intro of the different characters and like who they play in the MMO.
How did you feel about this?
I didn't like it.
Yeah, me neither. It just made me think. I know we tried to do something similar to this in
one of our comics.
Yeah, and looking back, I'm like, oh, thank God we did it, because it's like so weird and embarrassing.
Cringy.
Yeah. It reminds me of how the characters were introduced in the Danganronpa anime, because in Danganronpa you have characters who are like super high school level XYZ. Like super high school level athlete, super high school level model, things like that, right? And so then the characters are talking and then they zoom in and like show the art from the game with like the title of the character. Very anime, doesn't really have an impact in print form, has much more of an impact in animated form. Like it's much more stylized.
it's like Final Fantasy X-2 when they do the title card, YRP.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot more, I think it has a lot, like you said, it has a lot more impact when it's animated, and it comes off a lot better. When it's in print, it's kind of like,
And it's like, why is it important to know, for example, that her strengths are extreme focus and a quick reaction time?
No, the biggest thing here is that, I don't know why they introduced all of their characters and their skill sets when they haven't even gone into the game. In the first 30 chapters, they still haven't gone into the game.
No.
They haven't played the game, so it's like, why would you do this now?
Yeah.
I feel like she originally was going to have, like, a short subplot or segue into the game, and then she's like, oh crap, like, she must have realized how long that would take to go into, so then she quickly pivoted back to Marshall. Because after this, we go right back to Marshall.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know why you would even introduce this information now.
And so then Angela and Vicky, Angela's outfit
I know, Angela's outfit's so bad.
If she had just worn, like, a skirt instead of, like, those...
Or if the shorts were, like, longer and cuffed.
Yeah, or, like, flared or something.
Yeah, like, longer, like, trouser shorts.
Yeah. And
like,
then,
if they were, like, maybe, like, 6 inches longer and, like, loose and then had cuffs at the bottom.
Yeah, and then she, like, her shirt matched her socks or something, because it's
the socks are totally different color. The colors are all wrong.
Yeah, it's just strange.
And the outfit in general is terrible.
Yeah. So
it's just a bad outfit. Like, if it was a long sleeve shirt with, like, princess sleeves, or like, you know, the sleeves that are really loose and then gathered at the wrist, like the cuffed sleeves, and then she had cuffed trouser shorts, like it would be like a Roselle outfit from Dazzle. That would be so much better.
Yep.
But the red of her hair with the blue of the socks and the black and white is just, ugh.
Yeah, not very flattering. And so her strength is dedication. She's a Valkyrie tank, and Vicky is very team-oriented. And her character's name is Vixie.
Monk.
Yeah, she's a monk.
It's furry.
Yeah. It's interesting that Vicky and Abe...
I know! I noticed that!
Their characters...
Oh my gosh! In the first video, we were like, oh yeah, the racism is incidental. But I remember I was getting like visceral flashbacks, and the first time I read this, I kept sending you screenshots about how racist it is. But like, both of the two colored characters, they're both furries in the game. They're anthropomorphic, they're not human characters. And then, like, both of the POC characters also don't get love interests.
Yeah.
Neither of these characters get love interests, but Angela gets a love interest later.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is weird, right?
Yeah.
It's very, like, 90s, like, Friends or something.
Yeah, Friends. Very, very much so.
You can tell Manju's a bit older.
Yeah, I'm thinking The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Zoe 101, all those shows that have like the token characters.
Token Black.
Yeah, they were there for representation, but they were just like
London
props.
never got a romantic subplot ever.
She was just comic relief.
Yeah, same thing with Mosby.
And same thing with Esteban.
Yeah.
So
what's her face? Maddie got so many like romantic subplots, and London didn't get a single one. Like,
yeah.
the colored characters are just, like, props.
No, to bring it back to High School Musical, Corbin Blue's character, Chad, he's named Chad, for Christ's sake, you know? He's a good-looking guy. Probably the best-looking guy in the series.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, I saw somebody went on the first video when we made that comparison to High School Musical, and we talked about Chad and Ryan. Apparently they were supposed to be canon.
Oh, really?
But the networks wouldn't allow it.
Of course not.
And then they paired off Chad with Monique.
Because they're the only black people in the entire school!
Yeah, and it's like, I don't remember them actually interacting, like, ever on screen.
No, but you know what? To be fair to High School Musical, Gabriella was POC.
Yeah, she was.
She's like...
Yeah. Her father's Irish, French, and Native American, and her mom is Filipina.
Yeah, Filipina. Yeah.
Manila. Yeah.
Yeah, so Vanessa Hudgens is POC.
Yeah.
To High School Musical's credit, but they acted like her character was completely her. She was basically racially blind casting.
Yeah. She didn't really have any sort of cultural markers there.
Single mother.
Oh, yeah.
Single mother.
Yeah.
But her mom was a doctor or something, right?
I don't remember, really. Like, I don't even remember the single mom thing.
I think her mom, she's like a single mom, and I don't know if Troy's dad's a single dad. That's the one thing I don't remember. I don't remember if Troy has a mother.
Yeah, I don't... And it's set in Albuquerque.
Yeah, it's set in, like, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they should have had a song about, like, don't do meth, I know you can't. Not that meth. Because it's all over the state, apparently. Meth is ubiquitous.
Yeah, that's why Breaking Bad was filmed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
They all became meth heads. High School Musical 4.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad crossover.
Yeah, Jesse Pinkman.
Jesse Pinkman's their dealer.
Yeah, and Troy Bolton is like, yeah, you know, I used to be the star of the basketball team, not anymore.
Yeah, Jesse went to high school at the same time the High School Musical came out.
Yeah, and he had a well-to-do family. So,
yeah,
you
so
know.
he could have easily gone to that, you know, he was a Wildcat.
Oh my god, let's go Wildcat! Let's go Wildcat!
That's canon now. Jesse Pinkman went to high school with High School Musical cast.
Yeah, so...
He was in the back with all the stoners going like, this is such crap.
Well, if Troy can tell his secret, then I can tell mine.
You wanna know what he did?
I bake. What? I love to bake. Strudel, scones, even apple pandowdy.
He poisoned a little kid.
Not another sound.
Someday, I hope to make the perfect creme brulee.
You can't keep getting away with it.
Stick to the stuff you know. Yeah, real stick to it, right?
Oh my
So,
god.
yeah, I mean, that was weird when I saw that, and it just really reminds you of, like, all that stuff from the 2000s where it's like, yeah, there's nothing in here. Like, I don't even remember there being, like, a regular POC character in, like, Drake and Josh, for example, right?
There was one. There was like Helen.
Oh,
The angry black lady.
Yeah, Helen and Crazy Steve. Who could forget?
Yeah.
Helen and Crazy Steve would be a cancelable nowadays. You would get canceled so fast if you had a guy like Crazy Steve on your show.
You made Crazy Steve quit? You hired a guy named Crazy Steve?
Are you, all right in the head?
I think so.
Congratulations, you're hired.
I mean, Selena Gomez is Latina, but she didn't even play Latina in Wizards of Waverly. Weren't they Italian?
Yeah, they were like Italian.
A Russo family.
Yeah. I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
They
It's not allowed.
had to whitewash Selena Gomez. She couldn't even play Latina.
Yeah.
Wow. But wasn't their mom Latina?
I think so. I think she was that famous.
So they were like half.
I think she was that famous Latina actress. She was that lady from Master of Disguise.
Get me some man-sized meatballs. Meatballs.
Was she?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Maria Canales.
Barrera.
Yeah, Barrera. She was, you know, Pistachio's ex-girlfriend.
Oh my god. Oh no. At least she made it out alive.
Look, pistachios, the silly voices, the making faces, it was fun for like 1 second.
I feel like Manji was like, oh, wait a second, do like people of color, like, do they make their avatars also people of color? I don't know if they do or not, so to avoid any controversy, let me just, because it's also in Ready Player One, right? You've got a character who's black in real life, and their game avatar is like a white person. In Ready Player One. Yeah. Ready Player... Because it's like a plot twist in Ready Player One that character's black.
Oh my god!
They all meet up in real life and they go, oh, you're that person? It's like, yeah.
Dude, I mean, I don't want to speak for other, like, POC, but I never play as a white character.
No, I don't even make any white original characters.
Unless I have to. Unless I have to.
Again, it's like the character who's got the eyes closed all the time.
Her character's blind!
Like, what the heck? What the heck, you know? And so Angela says, you know, what's the deal with Marshall? And she goes, I wouldn't say it's better, but then they're interrupted with the arrival of Dallas. And he says, yeehaw, because he's Dallas, get it? He goes, hello, ladies, you are looking fine tonight. And so he plays as a rogue. He's got exceptional dexterity, and he's Night Killer XX.
He's like an edgelord.
Yeah. And
why are they even friends with him?
He's Link's, like, annoying little brother.
Yeah, but, like later on, it turns out that they met Link first, so why'd they even let Dallas, like, play with them?
I don't know. It's just, it's the thing where you have, like, a bunch of different characters. He's making a total Naruto face in that one. That's like Iruka Sensei.
I know.
In the new Naruto game.
I know.
Ultimate Ninja Store.
All these characters look like they could be Naruto OCs.
Yeah. And then you've got Olivia coming up in her Escalade limousine. And then Edgar, her butler, comes out.
This is such a shoujo anime thing, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
The Hime character.
Yeah. And so she's deaf, right?
Yeah.
Hard of hearing. And she uses a voice assist app to speak to other characters.
Yeah, and then she lip reads and uses cochlear implants.
Yeah, and so her character name is Lily-chan, and she's a priest healer. And she's
all of these characters look exactly like the player, except for the brown characters.
Yeah, like the POC characters, and that's just... I think she was trying to avoid controversy. She didn't really know what to do. I don't think it was like, yeah,
She should have made Vicky a geisha, and then Abe an orc.
Dallas says you look like a creepy doll, and then you kind of establish Olivia as being really harsh.
Yeah.
And so then Angela tells him to shut up because she's the party healer, and the last time he ticked off the healer during the raid, he didn't get healed. She just flipped him off. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's funny, like it's a funny joke.
Yeah.
But it kind of takes you out of the story.
Yeah, it really does.
And then you cut back to the present with Vicky.
Especially when both of these characters aren't really main, like they're not consequential characters. They're almost like background characters. So it's like, why would you waste that many panels on a joke with two characters who don't matter?
Yeah, and they're not even playing the game right now.
No, they're not.
Yeah, so Vicky says, let's not get worked up. Let's go inside and get ourselves a table. And so then the two attendants are like, oh no, not these guys. And then you get this epic shot of them. And then you can see their horrible outfits.
Yeah, all of them are dressed so badly.
Why is Sam wearing leggings and shorts?
It's very Naruto.
Super Naruto.
It's very, like, mid-2000s style.
Yeah, and Vicky looks like a titan next to Olivia.
Well, Vicky's also wearing, like, mid-2000s. Like, nobody wears a tunic and like, capri leggings anymore.
Unless you're, like, a Naruto enthusiast.
Yeah. Then we pick up with these guys.
Yeah. And you're getting the scoop on who they are from the interaction of the two cashiers.
Two cashiers.
Yeah.
What they do last time that was so bad. They won so many tickets that they cleared out our stock of prizes. Because of that, we didn't have any decent toys for the kids for that weekend's birthday parties. We had to spend a fortune restocking our prize shop in time. Didn't they have to win the tickets just like everyone else? You don't understand. These geeks are gods at these games and they win at them very easily. I don't see their guild master, and then you have him right behind him.
Yeah, so that's Abe, the guild master.
Oh my god.
Abe, the big scary
He's
black man.
He's so dark.
Yeah.
He's so dark. He's like super dark.
And the thing that annoys me is that like a lot of times people who don't have a lot of experience coloring like people of color, they make him like grayish.
I know, he's like, that's what I'm saying, he's like literally black.
Yeah.
Like, he's almost literally black, and it's like very few people in real life are that dark. Especially black Americans.
But that's not even like, even when you are that dark, you're not, like, that's not the color of skin.
It's not desaturated.
No,
like
it's not, that's not skin color, really. I mean, like, I watched The Woman King, and you've got tons of people, but one of the main characters was played by a woman who is British and Ugandan. And the actress's name is Sheila Atim. And, I mean, her skin is much more saturated than his skin is, right? And, like, you can just tell, like, when somebody's dark-skinned, they're still saturated. They're not, like, grayish and sallow.
Well, like, Kaluuya is really dark.
Yeah, Daniel Kaluuya, but again, he's, like, saturated.
It depends on the filter. If they're using, like, a sepia filter, they can look very black. But everyone else in this comic, like, all the white characters have very, very saturated skin tones when...
He's so much more saturated.
Yeah, in real life... I know. The thing is, like really dark black people have, like, it's not just one shade of solid brown. There's, like, also highlights that are, like, a richer brown.
Yeah, there's, like, highlights and variations, and I always use gradients whenever I color dark skin.
Well, the other thing is, I don't use gradients, but I use a different method of coloring than she does. She uses this very stark cell shading where even, like, the under neck shadow is black. But the biggest thing is that all of her white characters are very, like... she uses the same skin tone for white characters that all the characters have in Sailor Moon. And again, the characters in Sailor Moon are supposed to be Asian.
Yeah, and he's dressed like that character from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
I know, he looks like he just came from, like, the hood. He's even got earrings and everything.
And it's like, that's, like, fine for, like, I guess, you know, a character can dress like that, but, I mean, he looks GTA San Andreas, you know? Like, that's just, shit, here we go again.
Yeah,
you know? That's
I know.
what it looks like.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
He just looks, like, so unremarkable.
I know.
He doesn't look like you paid much attention to his character design at all.
Yep.
And then again, his character is, like, a dark elf or something who's gray. Like, I don't understand why his character couldn't have brown skin. Like, she's got an unnatural skin color again. A non-human, right? And she's got, like, a dreadlock hairstyle. I just don't understand why she was given gray skin instead of brown skin. Is Dallas supposed to be Southern?
I don't know.
About damn time you showed up.
Because Link isn't Southern.
No, it's just so funny because it's like, it'd be one thing like, okay, like, you have like the Asian character and the black character, but then you also got a guy named Dallas, and Dallas talks like
he
this.
like teabag?
I don't know.
Not that hot! When this guy woke up this morning, he was white!
Yeah, Abe, about damn time you showed up.
And this is where she starts doing the thing where it's like, I guess he just fell into his chair and then propped his foot up, but like you could have had one panel where he's like, Abe, falling into his chair, and then in the next panel he puts his feet up and like leans back, and then Olivia looks at him like, you know?
Exactly.
Like that could have been 2 panels.
Yeah. So he says, you know, this group needs more testosterone before these chicks start talking about their periods, and then Edgar is standing right there. Just want to show that he's also part of the group. Right? And so then Angela says, why'd you call us? We could be spending this time farming for materials for Friday's raid. And then he goes, I've got an announcement to make.
So he basically announces that their guild, the Rare Spawns, is now the 3rd ranked guild on the server, and they're basically going to get access to a bunch of like high-ranking missions now with other top-ranked guilds. So they're going to start doing like endgame content.
Yeah.
Because they're so highly ranked. And he's treating them all to dinner, but I don't know why they went to like Chuck E. Cheese for dinner.
Yeah, come on, man.
Like, Chuck E. Cheese, like, come on, bro.
Yeah, and so then they're like, finally, endgame. Heck yeah, we're number 3. He goes, you celebrate too, Edgar. We couldn't have done it without you. And then he calls him, thank you, Master Abraham. And, so then you see that Edgar's, you know, he's just got a self-insert character,
Yeah.
looks just like him, and then it's funny because the dedication is like off the charts.
I know, yeah.
It's just humorous. I feel like all of the setup for Who's Who with their player avatars and everything was just for that punchline.
Well, not only that, it's a way to introduce the characters without, like, in a really quick shorthand way. But it doesn't really pay, like, again, it doesn't really pay off because it's not like they're about to play the game, but it's just a quick way to introduce these characters. But like I said, we read through chapter 30 and these characters don't come back.
Yeah.
This is episode, what, 11? They don't come back for the next 19 episodes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a waste of an episode.
So Angela's doing DDR. Dallas starts trolling her. And she, like, grabs him by the shirt. No, she grabs him by the nipple.
Yeah, she grabs him by the nipple and twists it.
That's so weird.
Yeah. It's very Naruto.
It's Naruto, but it's, like, weird, right? Like, and so then you've got him doing his basketball game, and she negs him, and she says, you're really slow today, Edgar. And he's getting tons of tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just basically showing what each of the characters are doing at the arcade. You got these two brats playing a shooter game, and then Vicky just destroys them at the zombie horde game.
Yep.
And then Sam is playing this Gauntlet Dark game.
Legacy.
She's playing, and she gets a text, or a notification, rather. And it's from Engineer about her account status. So that's the end of chapter 11.
This chapter was pretty pointless.
Yeah, it's just...
Nothing happens in this episode.
No.
Like, again, I feel like she was setting up a plot and then quickly dropped it. She's like, that would take too much time.
Yeah, this thing confused me with the punching bag.
Yeah.
With Abe. Because he tries to do, like, the Bruce Lee 1-inch punch.
Right. No, he doesn't do the Bruce Lee 1-inch punch. He basically goes up to it after threatening the clerk because he's a scary black man. He goes up to it and then he, like, pretends like he's gonna give, like, the biggest punch ever. But then he just does a little flick, and it turns out that's, like, a glitch in the game. If you give it a little flick in the right spot, it'll print out all the tickets.
Yeah, so
that's why he says it's an exploit.
But I don't understand how that works.
It just has, like, a faulty, like, mechanism where if you give it, like, a flick in the right spot, it like, fails.
Yeah, but, I mean, that kind of... These guys are, like, ultra gamers. They know how to play these games to get all these tickets. That's not really playing a game. That's, like, cheating. Are you trying to imply
that is cheating.
That he cheats
Yeah,
at
he just
games
went
or
on
something?
Reddit. He just went on Reddit, and he was like, how do I beat this game and get all the tickets?
Yeah, and then it's really obvious in that shot that she's using the model for the pose of him because, it's just so stiff.
Yeah.
He doesn't look relaxed at all.
The shot where he was doing this with his arms, that was really obvious, because it was, like, up here. For some reason, models can't cross their arms.
No, because remember when you said in Avatar, the first one, the elbow joints looked really weird?
Yeah.
The elbow and the shoulder, in real life, the shoulder has the most range of motion, right? It has the most things that you can do with it, you can do this, that, and that, so it's really hard to model. It's the same thing with the elbow.
Yeah.
The elbow is really hard to model in a way that looks realistic and proportional to get the musculature to fold up on itself that. And so then, like, knowing that the shoulder and the elbow are the tricky spots, basically anything that you do with those two parts of the anatomy is gonna look like...
Yeah. No, it basically just looked like he went like this.
Yeah.
Like, it just looked like he was folding his arms, like, directly across the chest. But yeah, for those poses, anything involving the shoulder, basically the arms in general, I would say look at a photo reference.
Yeah, just pose yourself.
Just pose yourself.
Then...
I wouldn't use a model for those things.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna look really, like, especially if you trace over the model.
Yeah, and, you can use yourself, and then, obviously, Manji, she's probably got a different build from Abe over here, but you can always extrapolate the skeleton that you draw over yourself onto, like, a bigger frame. Just draw bigger muscles on
draw
it,
bigger muscles.
While looking at, like, an anatomical diagram, right? And so, then you got this clown.
Literal clown.
He's talking about redeeming tickets for you and your child. And so she says, do the thing. Very, very referential. And so then... he's making it rain tickets on him, and he goes, I barely have enough self-respect as it is. And so then they're asking, hey, do you know where Sam is? And she went outside, and we see that Sam is sitting out on the curb, and she is upset. And then a giant teddy bear is plopped next to her, and so then it's the prize, presumably, that
Edgar got
with the tickets. And so Olivia sits on the teddy bear, and she goes, why don't you tell me why you're sitting out here all by yourself? And she says, Angela told me about what happened with your game. And so then Sam explains that she got an email from Engineer saying that they're reinstating the access, but it's against their policy to modify the scores, so they won't fix the score after martial law's fan trashed it. And so she's the lowest score on the entire site now. And so then you want I should have Edgar break Marshall's legs. And she goes, no violence. But obviously this is like that anime humor, right? She's not really gonna go...
Yeah, I know.
It's not like she's gonna go rip somebody's eyeball out for taking a picture, right?
Right.
And so she goes, I don't know what I'm gonna do now.
And she starts feeling sorry for herself.
Yeah.
And then Olivia is like, if you're gonna feel this bad for yourself, then like you're basically giving up before you've even done anything. So she gives her a pep talk. It's your dream to become a game developer, but it sounds like you've already given up because the fans of some narcissist trashed your game. You're a software developer, you know that this brute force flaw could be exploited against other users on Engineer's site. You have knowledge and experience to bring this to Engineer's attention and possibly make their site and product better as a result. I think this would have worked, because she basically gives her the idea to pitch to Engineer.
Yeah.
I think this would have worked better if Sam realized that on her own.
That's what I'm saying, like all these characters just exist to tell you things about Sam, or to get Sam to do things that it's like she could do it herself, but it's really like she's the blank slate self-insert in a game.
Yeah, it's like you're talking to other characters in a game to get an idea of what to do next.
Yeah.
But I feel like if Sam was, like, sitting in her home, and if you made her more of an introvert character who literally, you know, declines people's invitations to go out to work on her new game, maybe she's working on her new app, and then she gets a notification from an engineer, reads the email, and then she says, oh my god, I can't believe it, checks the site again, checks the score, and then goes like, oh my god, I have the worst score on the site. And then, you know, after crying for a bit, then she's like, wait a minute, this could be an opportunity, you know? This is like a very bad exploit in the system. There's no proof that these guys actually played my game. Most of them didn't. So this is an opportunity for me. Or even Umed could have suggested it. Yeah. Like, she could talk to Umed at work about it, and then they could both come up with the idea together. Because they do that later anyway. Yeah. She shows it to Umed, and he comes up with the idea too. So it's like, why have this scene with Olivia?
Yeah, and the scene with Olivia, like, the really long pep talk is, like, such a break in the story for me. It was, like, confusing, because she just sat on the curb at the end of the previous episode.
It's not like she told her friends, like...
I'm gonna go home early, I'm not really feeling up to celebrating.
Well, not only that, it's not like she said, I've decided, like, they all get drunk, and then Sam's, like, drunkenly, like, laughing and crying at the same time, and saying, like, oh, I was stupid to think I could ever be a game developer. All it takes is some guy like Marshall to come along and whoop, you know? It's not like I was... Because at one point she says, it's not like I'll ever be successful, it'll probably be a hobby, you know? She could have said that at that point in time, and then they could have been like, what the F's wrong with you? But, I mean, I think it was better for her to say it's probably only ever going to be a hobby to Marshall, and then Marshall's the one who should be like, don't ever stop chasing your dreams. Yeah. Like, I think this scene is redundant.
It is.
The scene with Marshall and Umed were better versions of this scene. Yeah. Then it just becomes repetitive. Exactly. Because Marshall tells her not to stop chasing her dreams, and Umed is the one who helps her come up with the idea to give a pitch to engineer. Yeah. So this scene where she says the exact same two things as Marshall and Umed later, it's just, like, repetitive.
It is, and it's coming out of nowhere, because it would be like if,
This is the first time we've seen Olivia, too.
Yeah, so it would be like if, I don't know, like, we're doing your YouTube thing, right? And then, since you're the one who interfaces on all the comments, you get, like, I don't know, some famous YouTuber just slam dunks the channel. Yeah. And then all the videos get downvoted and everything, and you get a bunch of horrible comments. And then YouTube says, hey, you know, we're not going to fix that action, but you could rebuild it. And then you sit down, like, before we film a video, like, you go sit outside. And then I go sit outside and go, hey, I heard about what happened. Are you going to woman up and give this another shot? Like within the same 10-minute time span that you got the email, right? Because she's only been sitting outside for, like, 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's like she's not allowed to feel bad.
No, it's like, you get up and you go and do that right now.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Engineer just did that, right? And it's like, it would be one thing if it was, like, over a couple days where you're actually reconsidering it and you go, man, is this actually for me? Like, do I really want to do this? Like, what should I do? Right. Because Olivia comes up with this solution, like, instantly. Right. And she's not a software engineer, you know? No. She's telling Sam what she is, and she's, like, doing that. It would be a lot better if it was coming from Sam's own internal thing. Like, if she was
talking to Umed and had the brainwave while she was talking to him.
Exactly. And she goes, you know what? It's such a stupid system. Like, what kind of system is it where you can't even have proof that these people played the game and they can, like, affect a person's, like, reputation? That's a ridiculous system. That's a flawed system. That's an opportunity. You know, something like that would have been a lot better. But, yeah, so then she goes, if you want to save your reputation, then you know who you need to talk to.
You need to decide whether or not you're going to start fighting this or continue being a victim.
Yeah. So.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's the pep talk. And so
harsh.
It's a very harsh pep talk coming out of nowhere after, like, 10 minutes.
I know.
And it's like, dude, calm down. I'm not being the victim. I'm just a little bummed out right now. Like, please, let me live. And so, she then... you cut to the exterior of Marshall's apartment complex, and she's knocking on it. And she expects Marshall to answer the door, but instead we get another character.
Another character.
Yeah.
How many characters are introduced in the last 3 episodes?
Oh my gosh, you have Abe, Olivia, Dallas, and now Monica, right? Is her name? Yeah, Monica, and Edgar. And
5 in, like, 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's too many.
Yeah.
Again, I think, like, for a comic with this scope, there should have been, like, the love interest, the main character. So the love interest, there's 3, but Link is, like, a half love interest. The main character, and then, like, 2 friends. Yeah. Maybe one friend, like, 1 good friend, and then 1, like, background character friend, and then her dad. Yeah. That's 7 characters. Because right now it's, like, what? 5 characters just introduced, plus the 3 love interests, 8, plus Sam, 9, plus her dad, 10, plus Dee, 11, who else? Vicky and Angela, 13, and then Umed, 14. That's way too many characters.
It's a lot of characters.
For the first 12 episodes.
Yeah.
That's more than 1 character per episode.
Yeah.
Yes, then Monica answers the door. So yeah, I guess this establishes that Marshall has a really bad time, or he's had really bad experiences in the past with fangirls. And then you see alpha female aura, but I think Monica's character becomes refreshing in the way that she's handled later. I just wish she was more of a main character.
Yeah. Beta female aura. She goes, I live in the apartment next door. I'm his neighbor. And she goes, why is she glaring at me like that? And I like Monica when she has the complete attitude change. It's like funny. She goes, oh my god, I must seem like such a bitch right now. And she goes, on second thought, this isn't a good time. I didn't realize you'd company over right now. And so then she gets in really close and she goes, whoa, you've got really good skin, you know? And I like that. I like her character already. She's like, nice.
Yeah, she's a nice character.
Yeah.
She helps her out later. She's not like a total dick. Like, it's not like, again, Laura Olympus, where the alpha female character, Mindy, is like a total dick and a character assassinated for more measure. So you realize that Sam has no interest in any of these things.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of like, I don't like this trope.
Yeah.
I think it's one thing for like, you know, a female character to not wear makeup and not be interested in clothing. But like, for example, there's a really good manga that had a female character who was like this called Princess Jellyfish. Yeah. And the main female character was a total NEET, like a loser, you know. She, NEET stands for no education, employment, or training. Yeah. Or not in education, employment, or training, which means that they're basically unemployed. Young people who are of working age, who are unemployed and not currently going to school or being trained for a job. So they're basically just, like, a lot of them are hikikomori who just sit inside and, like, you know, live off their parents. And the character in Princess Jellyfish, she was kind of like Sam, where she was socially awkward and she had frizzy hair and glasses. Yeah. But the character in Princess Jellyfish, she always wore sweats all the time because she was super unfashionable. And she had, like, freckles because she never wore sunscreen. And she had, like, really bushy, thick eyebrows because she never, shaved or waxed or did anything. And extremely frizzy, unkempt hair. And thick glasses. Yeah. And somebody who doesn't pay any attention to their appearance whatsoever would not fit within the standards of, like, conventional beauty.
No, I mean, especially skin. Skin is very, very...
it's reflective of your lifestyle.
It's reflective of your lifestyle, but it's also, like, photo aging, right? You look back into the 1970s where white people, right, like Sam is white, lived on the sunny beaches of California.
They tanned and smoked.
They tanned and smoked, and then, you know, just natural photo aging from the sun. If you've got fair skin naturally... she wears sunscreen. You're still gonna get photo aging if you don't moisturize, because she doesn't moisturize. She just wears. She
doesn't moisturize. She doesn't clean. Yeah. She doesn't clean her face.
She doesn't wash her face, and so
like, how does she not like? If she uses American sunscreen, how is she not constantly breaking out?
Yeah, because the ingredients in sunscreen are not the best.
They're comedogenic, unless you're ordering a special sunscreen. But she's not interested in beauty.
No, so she wouldn't be, and so. We've seen her wake up. There's no real special attention paid to her grooming habits or anything like that.
She wakes up, takes a shower, brushes her teeth, and goes to work.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things. It's kind of...
It's, like, not like other girls.
Yeah, it's not like other girls, and you see this all the time on, like, social media, right? You'll see people say, like, oh no, I don't get any plastic surgery.
You mean Kim Kardashian?
I don't get any work done.
Have you heard Kim Kardashian saying she's never had a single white hair?
Wow.
And she's, like, 41.
Yeah.
Have you also heard her say that the only thing that she wears, you know, everyone's like, oh, why do you look so great? Basically asking her about plastic surgery. She's like, I would never get plastic surgery done. The only thing I do is, like, a drop of mascara. Can you believe?
It's gaslighting, right? It's like people who use Facetune and face filters all the time. There's an Instagram reality subreddit where people show these photos of these people's faces. Yeah. And the software has gotten so good with facial filters that you can erase all your fine lines, wrinkles, and pores on photos. And then it's very disingenuous to say, like, oh no, my skin's just naturally like that. I mean, nobody has skin that's naturally like that.
Or like Jennifer Aniston, who for the longest time, everyone's like, oh, how are you aging so well? She's like, oh, I just use Aquaphor under my eyes at night. It's like, I do that. I'm not aging that well.
Yeah, I don't understand why people lie about it, you know? It's very, and like, they act like, oh, I'm effortless.
It's not effortless.
No.
Anybody who looks good, like, trust me, it's not effortless.
I have more respect for somebody who takes care of themselves more, though.
I mean, there's a limit, though. Like, honestly, if you're, like, Kim Kardashian, spending 2 hours in the morning getting ready and then hundreds of thousands of dollars in plastic surgery, I think you have a problem.
Yeah.
But, like, somebody who's, like, Monica, who just puts effort into her appearance and style, you know, she clearly has, like, a style that she likes and puts effort into her appearance. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And people who, like, don't wash their skin.
If you have fair skin, you wear sunscreen, you're cognizant of the fact that you want to look presentable when you go out, so you do the basic grooming, right?
But even if she didn't, even if she was like, oh, the only thing I do is moisturize with, like, you know, Walmart brand Equate or CeraVe or whatever, and I put on sunscreen and I wash my face with, like, a basic cleanser, she could still have decent skin, but no one's gonna have perfect skin.
No.
Unless her diet was really clean, but she drinks coffee and, like, energy drinks.
Yeah, I've never seen her, I don't think I've seen her eat.
I've never seen her eat.
Yeah.
And she drinks a lot of
She doesn't
caffeine.
exercise.
She doesn't exercise.
She's very sedentary.
She's not health conscious.
Yeah.
So why does she have, like, this perfect body and, like, perfect skin?
Yeah.
Without even trying.
Yeah, it's a gaslight.
It's very unrealistic.
It's a total gaslight.
It's irritating. And it's like, again, if you want to have a neat female character, like, make her like the main character in Princess Jellyfish.
Or Princess Diaries.
Yeah, and you know, in Princess Jellyfish, the whole plot is that this neat female character meets a cross-dresser who is like a guy from a rich family. He's really interested in fashion, makeup, and beauty, and he, like, gives her a makeover.
Yeah.
And then he, like, wants her to be a model in his show. But even then, like, she's still, like, chubby, you know, she's, like, she doesn't take care of herself, so she's chubby and unkempt. And then he just, like, styles her hair and puts makeup on her, plucks her eyebrows, you know, all of that stuff. But it doesn't change the fact that when she's wearing sweats and when she doesn't have makeup on and, like, doesn't take care of herself, she still looks like, you know, she doesn't fit conventional beauty at all.
Yeah.
It's only when she's, like, cleaned up that she looks nice enough that, like, all these guys start, like, going, oh my god, she's so beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you just walk around, especially as a woman, if you just walk around and, like, do the bare minimum of, like, washing your hair with bar soap, you know, and brushing your teeth, like, that's not gonna...
bar soap.
Yeah. like, it's a total lie that that's enough to get, like, 3 super attractive 6'2" guys, like, falling all over you.
Yeah, unless there's something wrong with them.
And then she reveals that she's also a beauty YouTuber. 2.5 million subscribers and 2 million followers on Instagram. She has her own fashion and makeup line, and she does makeup and beauty tutorials, and I like how she drew her with, like, visible abs.
Yeah.
Like somebody who actually goes to the gym.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell there's a huge difference between, like, Sam's body type and Monica's body type. She's much more muscular. You have Marshall, and he's got different font because he's, like, super hoarse. He's got makeup all over him.
Yeah, he can't wash it off.
And then his personality is totally different. He's, like, grumpy.
Yeah, and he references Simon Blackquill, which I guess is, like, a video game character.
It's Ace Attorney.
Yeah.
And Marshall's like, you just see me? Oh, whoa, you look just like Simon Blackquill. That's what I said. And, like, Monica didn't get it, but Sam does. Sam Young, she lives next door. Sam, this is Monica, my good friend. And then Monica gets, like, shocked.
Yeah.
Because she's clearly, like, his girlfriend.
One thing I will say is that at this part of the comics run, you'll see that the panels are pretty small.
Yeah.
And there are no backgrounds in them. Like, there's no background assets.
And, yeah, that's what I noticed. Like, I think her art is, like, peak at this point in the series because she's not drawing backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like, her comic art is much better than it is later in the series, but she's also not drawing backgrounds. That thing's huge. What is it?
It's a fly. Get away, stupid Jeff Goldblum.
Why is it so big?
It's a large black fly.
It's disgusting. Anyway, yeah, I think this is, like, the peak art of the comic, because I think the characters all look pretty decent. Like, they've got, like, it's a more anime art style than it was in the beginning. But their faces look more expressive, and they all still look fairly different.
Yeah.
Whereas later on, I hate the way the eyes are drawn.
Yeah, it looks a lot like Bleach here.
Yeah.
More so than Naruto.
Yeah. And Sam starts to get nervous because she can't, like, talk in front of Monica, who's, like, super intimidating. She starts sweating and shivering and gasping. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's very much like, I guess it makes sense from a visual story perspective. You want to show that a character is nervous, but this is like anime nervousness, like
I know.
Hinata. And it's just like...
But anyway, yeah, so her reaction isn't over the top if you have social anxiety. She's like, it's just embarrassing and I feel bad for her.
Yeah.
And you could tell Marshall feels bad for her too, or he has like experience with it.
Yeah.
So he like bails her out and says, "Oh, you need to be sure I wasn't too loud tonight, right? Oh, I'm such a bad neighbor, always making such a racket." And Monica's like, "Oh, is that it?" And then he ushers her out because he can tell she's uncomfortable.
Yep.
Be sure to enjoy the fresh air. I don't know why that was underlined.
No.
Maybe because he could tell she couldn't breathe.
Could be, yeah. I'm not really sure. And then, but that like entire subplot about confronting him and everything that Olivia got her all worked up about didn't end up panning out.
No, it didn't go anywhere.
No.
It was just to have her
meet Monica.
Monica.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this happens later on where he like pretends to pay off her rent just to get her to come to his door.
Yeah.
It was like that keeps happening just to force her to go talk to Marshall.
Yeah, just engineering.
Like it's just forcing her to go talk to Marshall when it's like you should have just made them coworkers from the beginning. That would have been more interesting.
So then Monica says that was awkward, and he goes, well, she obviously struggles with social anxiety, so cut her some slack. And Monica's upset, though, because he called her a good friend instead of being upfront. And then he says, you know I don't want the public to know we're dating. If word got out, there would be a huge backlash from jealous fans, right? And so she's upset, and Sam here is snooping. But why was she snooping?
I don't know. It would have been better if she was just in the hallway instead of snooping and she heard the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that's weird is that she thinks about blackmailing him at the end of this chapter, but nothing comes of that either. He's like, oh, they are dating, but they're trying to keep it a secret from fans to avoid backlash. And then he's like, if his fans found out he had a girlfriend, then there'd be a huge backlash. Wouldn't that be terrible? Like, she's thinking of blackmailing him.
Yeah.
But then nothing ever comes of that. She just gets him to play her game.
Yeah, she decides not to blackmail him.
But we never saw her decide not to blackmail him.
No, she just kind of thinks to herself, like, I could, but then I don't want to.
But, like, why set it up?
Because it's dramatic, and people reading it go, ooh, you know, ooh.
I mean...
Yes, queen.
She should have done that.
Yeah. I think it should have been unintentional, right? Like, she should have heard the part where that's the girlfriend, and then later she blurts out with the fans, like, hey, don't you have a girlfriend? Like, don't you think that's a little inappropriate?
Right.
And then the fans are like, what? And she's like, oh, crap, like, what did I just do?
Yeah.
You know, that would have been
way better.
Yeah. So now we're on episode 14.
Abe's still wearing... Oh, it's the same day.
Yeah. They ate pizza.
Yeah.
And he's so tall, he's got a duck under the door frame.
I know. He's like 6'7" or something.
Yeah. And so, and then when he walks, there's a stomp
I know.
too. I'm surprised she didn't show the floor breaking under his, you know, super tightened feet. And so Angela and Vicky left with Sam, and Olivia left with Edgar shortly after. Right on, I'll send them a text to make sure they got home safe. And then he's like, you're a mother hen. You know, Angela hates when you dote on her. I thought they were setting up Abe and Angela as like a plot line here or something.
I thought they were setting up Dallas and Angela.
Yeah. Maybe they're setting up Dallas and Abe. But Dallas is like 16 or something, right?
No, he's not. He's like 18. And then he gets out the cigarettes. And this is what we were talking about in the beginning of the video. There's like an extended dialogue where Abe like freaking like 90s Lean On Me style.
Yeah, like dare. He gives him the dare.
He gives him the dare speech.
Yeah, so he
Your
rips
father
up...
died of lung cancer.
Yeah, what? He rips up the box of cigarettes. And he
Does
goes...
your brother know you're smoking?
Yeah, you're not even 18 yet. How'd you get your hands on these? Did your brother know?
Oh, he's only 17.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I thought he said you're not even 17 yet, but he's not even 18 yet. So, and he goes, Link, you're not going to tell him, are you? He'll be ticked off. What about your mom? You know it'd break her heart if she knew you were smoking. And then there's that thing about the lung cancer.
Yep. See, his arms are crossed and it looks so weird.
Yeah. And so he goes, why would you start when you know how bad it can be for you? Why do you even care? It's not like anyone else does. And he goes, enough with the edgelord nonsense. Hey, one could say the same thing for you, Abe.
Seriously.
Enough with the friendly neighborhood PSA nonsense.
Seriously.
He goes, our guild is like family.
I know.
Becoming a Fast and Furious character.
He's, what's that guy's name?
Toretto?
Yeah.
Dominic Toretto.
Dominic
He needs to
Toretto.
show up with a big cross necklace. He's got the tank top, right?
I know, and he's wearing sunglasses inside.
Yeah, shave your head, get the cross necklace, and talk about being God.
I know.
And you'll be Dominic Toretto in no time.
Family, 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 family.
And he goes, I talk with you guys more than I do with most of my real family members.
I know what it's like to lose a dad, so don't think you're on your own.
Yeah, I mean, you could have had Abe in Dallas. If I ever catch you smoking
No,
again.
because Dallas is underage.
But how old is Abe?
I think he's the oldest one. He's like 27.
No! Strike it for the record! I didn't say that.
That's why I don't want to see you smoking. And if I ever catch you smoking again, it will cost you 500 DKP points. What? Black and white. I prefer the black and white art.
But then you cut straight from that to a nightmare about being in the, like, ICU,
Like,
right?
why'd you even show that with Dallas? Like, his character, he's such a background character.
I think it was because to establish a couple things, right? So Dallas wasn't confirmed to be Link's brother until that scene. Yeah. And then also, Link's dad's dead, but Link's mom is still alive, and Link, his mom, and his brother all live together. So that's what you established.
But Link is like a nothing character.
Yeah, but more importantly, you could have gotten all that information from Link himself later.
Yeah, especially if he's supposed to be like a secondary,
tertiary
love interest.
He told Sam, you and the guild come and get your caffeine fix. He could say, how's my little poop stain of a brother treating you? You know, like, hey, between you and me, he's been coming home smelling like an ashtray. Yeah. You know how I feel about that crap. I don't want him bringing it into the house. You know, you could have had him say something like that to Dee at the cafe. You didn't need to have this teaching Sailor Moon Friday school special moment.
You know, I think it's really weird how, like you said, Sam's like the center of the friend group, but she almost seems to have like you would think the center of the friend group would be more aware of her friends and their well-being, but it's almost like she's so oblivious she doesn't even like how come Sam wasn't the one who caught him smoking? Like, it's almost like she's, they all care about Sam, but Sam's kind of, like, oblivious to them.
Sam's like a sociopath.
Like, she's not a sociopath.
She's not, like, a malicious sociopath.
She's, like, so introverted that she doesn't even cross her mind to, like, think about these characters.
Like, her interaction with Monica, like, Monica gave her the card.
Yeah.
And then she goes, well, I don't really care about that stuff. Do you want your card back?
Yeah.
Like, that's so, like, such a strange thing to say.
I know.
You know? That it is almost, like, sociopathic, but not sociopathic that she wants to kill somebody.
No, it's not sociopathic. She has, like, a huge disconnect.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, how does she have so many friends?
Yeah.
Like, again, it's like Princess Jellyfish, the female character, the NEET. She has social anxiety, and then she's also, like, super self-centered because she has no friends.
Yeah.
All of her other friends are, like, NEETs, too, who are all, like, one of them's, like, obsessed with trains, you know? And, like,
cool.
They all have, like, their different, like, dorky hobbies, and they can't communicate with people, so, like... Yeah. When she talks to people normally, she's, like, so awkward and weird and, like, stilted. She can't maintain relationships.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't even know what to talk about, you know? So it's like those people can be so self-absorbed just because they're so socially awkward. They don't understand the give and take of a relationship or give and take of a conversation. So it's like, how does she have so many friends? And how is she the center of her friend group? I feel like she'd be, like, the one that everyone, like, pities and, like, pity invites. And then since she's socially awkward, she would turn them down. So, like, after they invited her a bunch of times, it'd be like, oh, I invited her, but she turned me down.
Yeah.
And then at some point, they would just stop inviting her.
Exactly.
Like, that's how I was.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to go. Like, I was not only socially awkward, I'm introverted.
Yeah.
I don't like partying. I don't like going out with people. So after some point, after they try to invite you because they had, like, one or two interesting conversations with you, they just stop.
Yeah.
They're like, this person isn't interested, I'll just stop inviting them. That's how it goes.
Yeah, so I don't really understand the mechanics of the friend group. It just seems like they're there to steer her in the story, right? Like a video game. So, but yeah, that information was to get the information across about Link, because then we cut to Link later. I mean, you could have really just showed that, right? Link coming home, and then you reveal at that point that Dallas is his brother.
That would have been fine. You didn't have to show Dallas smoking.
No, because does that go anywhere?
No. Dallas, again, he's such a background character. He, like, disappears.
Could you imagine if Abe crushed the cigarettes and then he walks off and then he lights up in the alley with the cigarettes and he goes, stupid kid.
Yeah.
And you're like, Abe!
These things cost $8 a pack now. They're not cheap. Thanks for the cigs, kid.
It's $20 a pack.
No, Dallas he paid $20 because he's underage.
Yeah, that's true. So, he's like, yeah, and I got him for free. And it's like Abe was the smoker the whole time, right? And so we have the ICU thing, and you reveal that Sam, again, has been in and out of the hospital. But this is like a memory. It's not really a dream.
No, it's like a nightmare because she's so scared of going back to the hospital.
Yeah. She's got her little game controller in her hand, though, because it's like setting up that she used to play games all the time at the hospital. And then she wakes up, and she realizes that it was just a dream. And so then she puts off her alarm clock, and it is 5 in the morning.
It's 5 in the morning. It's always 5 in the morning.
Yeah. And she sees that she's in her bedroom, and then she says, "Good morning, Bowser." And he's sitting at the edge of the bed, like a creepypasta.
He doesn't sleep in the bed.
And so he tries to jump up on the bed, and she goes, "I'll take you outside." And she uses her inhaler. She goes, "It's just a bad dream. I'm better now that you're here, little doggy." And so she takes him to the park, and I like that this asset is really well integrated in this scene, I think.
I think so, too.
The pillars look really good. The shadow of the character looks really good. That guy in the shorts. And
yeah,
the trees are hand-painted.
Sometimes the assets look really good, and sometimes they look really bad.
Yeah.
Again, this is like peak art, because she doesn't do a background in every panel, and when there is a background, it looks pretty decent.
Yeah, so this one looks pretty good. And then she goes hardcore parkour as he jumps into the grass, and the backgrounds continue to be pretty good. But then when he's doing zoomies, he's in the void.
Yep. She didn't have time to draw that background.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I would rather have a comic where there's good establishing shots and good backgrounds for, like, the scenes that are important to orient you as the reader, and then you cut to white space when the characters are interacting.
Yeah. I
would rather have that, because honestly, she doesn't have assistants by this point, I don't think. She's doing it by herself.
Yeah.
And the art is really good.
It is. It's great. It's like, it looks like a TV show.
Yeah, it does look like a TV show. So, I mean, this is, like, decent art. And honestly, later on, when she does get the assistants, the art gets worse.
Yeah.
You know, like, the characters look worse and the backgrounds look worse, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there. You know why? I think these chapters are very short.
Yeah, they are quite
And later
short.
on, they become, like, 3 times as long. 2 to 3 times as long.
And so she sees those 2 women who say, "Guys like him are why I wear makeup when I work out." That's an awkward thing to say. You know, I don't understand why these 2 women couldn't have been the fangirls.
Yeah, they should have been.
Because you got 2 other girls later who are younger, they're like school-aged, like high schoolers, and they're
You didn't even need to have these characters there. You could have just had Sam, like, look, you know, go like, "Oh, what a beautiful day," and then be like, "Who's that guy walking, you know, how can that guy stand to run around, like, almost naked," and then realize that it's Marshall as he gets closer.
Yeah.
Like, such a nice day, and, like, meanwhile, she's, like, covered in, like, a huge baggy hoodie.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, ankle-length leggings, and then, meanwhile, Marshall's, like, nearly naked. She's like, what the F?
Yeah. So you got Marshall here, jogging.
Completely shirtless.
Yeah, and this is, like, another instance of using a model.
Yeah. The poses are really stiff.
Yeah, and his anatomy is totally different from in previous scenes.
Yeah.
He looks a lot smaller.
Yeah, he looks a lot skinnier.
Yeah.
Because the models are based off of, like, anime proportions. And in most anime and manga, the characters are really small.
Yeah, I don't understand. I guess it was, like, easier to pose and then use the model as a guide, basically trace over it. But if you used, like, an actual reference image of a guy jogging, like a real human man jogging shirtless, you could probably have found something that would have been a better reference than this.
I don't like models because I feel like the models are not only really stiff, but it's like, for me, posing them in the right position takes longer.
It does.
Than it does for me to just, like, do the stick figure and then draw over it.
Yeah.
So, like, when I draw figures like this, where I'm not entirely sure of the anatomy because I've never seen, like, a friggin'... I mean, that's, like, sad to admit. I've never seen a six-pack in real life. Mythical six-pack. But, yeah, so, like, if I needed to draw a male torso who's, like, super ripped,
yeah,
I would just do the stick figure, block it out where I know the joints and major muscle groups are, and then look at a reference image of a six-pack, and then, like, figure out where to put that on the torso.
Yeah, and I think that ends up looking better when you have the suggestion of detail rather than all of the detail.
Yeah, this looks like almost bug torso.
Yeah, like he's super lean.
Yeah, when you have, like, all of this definition so, like precise like this, not only is it unattractive in my opinion, but it ends up looking, like, insect-like. It's also not very realistic.
Yeah, like he's got to have, like, a 2% body fat.
Yeah, he must be, like, manorexic.
Yeah.
Like, look at his friggin' quads, bro.
Yeah. And so The suggestion of detail that you see with like anatomy and stuff, I think.
If she just looked at a human reference too for like a lean guy jogging, she probably would have gotten a more realistic end result too.
Yeah, and the movement would have been better and everything like that, more natural, less stiff. So
that's the end of that chapter, and then we go to episode 15.
Yeah. So there's a lot of shots here.
Yeah, I don't like such super detailed muscles. It's like creepy in my opinion.
Yeah, and she puts a lot of attention into making them really shiny looking. She draws his bulge with quite a bit of attention. I mean, it's refreshing to see because again, in Midnight Poppyland, no bulge. There's no bulge.
Yeah, everyone's got it vacuum packed.
And even Hades, you know, they say, oh, he's got a nice butt, but you never see it.
She just drew like a black shape.
Yeah, so I mean, this is like I think he's way too lean, but it's refreshing, right?
Yeah.
To see a male character who people actually think is, you know, you actually get into the head of the women who are looking.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, Let's Play out of Midnight Poppyland, Let's Play, and Lore Olympus is the only series where the main female character actually looks at a guy and is attracted to them, and you feel that as the audience.
Yeah.
It's like the only comic where I don't feel that huge separation between, like, the main character and then, like, the audience, you know? Where it's like, the main character apparently has, like, no feelings whatsoever, and has no attraction whatsoever. But here, like, Sam's just like, oh my god, like, he's so good looking. And she even, like, when he gets close to her, she can't even, like, think straight.
Yeah.
And it's, like, funny.
It is, yeah.
Because it's, like you're actually showing, like, how the audiences would react in this situation.
Yeah. And so these two women are, like, hard eyes emoji over him, which is realistic.
She's like tries to hide behind the tree.
Yeah, and then they start talking about the size of his
That was so
feet.
weird.
And I was like, "What? Okay. I'm into it." I'm like, "Okay." So she's got to hide, and Marshall's coming over. Then it's like, you know, like record scratch. They're talking about his feet, and they talk about Sasquatch.
Sasquatch.
He's got a size 15, and Sasquatch is around size 16. What are you trying to say here? Like, how freaking huge are this guy's feet? Because you know there was that Lore Olympus lately where they talk about Hades' feet.
I don't know why feet is a thing.
What is it with men's feet in these comics, right?
I don't get it.
Yeah, so there's...
I don't get it. Like, men's feet are usually crusty and gross. Like, I don't get it.
What is this about men's feet?
They never get pedicures and they never do the skin shaving.
The pumice stone.
They never whip out the skin, the foot shaver.
Exfoliator.
Yeah. They never soak their feet. They never paint their nails. Their feet are usually nasty looking.
Yeah. So they're like, you see the size of his feet? How could I miss them? They're huge. And she's got like all these statistics for the average male height and shoe size, and then it's Marshall,
like, bro.
Yeah,
why does she know so much about this topic?
Yeah, like why did she put that attention to detail into his character? And then they're like, well, you know what they say about a guy with big feet, right? And then Marshall just feels self-conscious about it. And so, but I mean, like, you would have thought, like, if his feet were that big, Sam would have noticed the first time she met him. Why does this guy have such big feet?
I don't think he did have that big feet in the first episode.
No.
They did, like, the full body shot.
Yeah,
his feet weren't that big.
There's a thing called wiki feet. It's like,
oh, God.
Yeah, but that's, like, a thing that a bunch of YouTubers do nowadays. And it's, like, Ethan Klein from H3H3 had a laugh with it. He was just talking about, like, he calls his fan base, like, foot soldiers, and they go and upvote and, like, 5-star pictures of his feet.
Oh my god.
And it's just, like, a stupid blurry picture of his foot, you know, in a sock.
Yeah.
But it's, like, you would think if he's, like, such a famous YouTuber, I guess Manji's never heard of Wiki Feet.
I guess not.
But if it was supposed to be fair from the beginning, it would have,
yeah.
is my point, and it just wasn't. And I don't know why she decided to put that in there. Like, why? And he goes, oh, you know that cute pepper? And then you've got the Skyrim.
That was funny. I laughed. The Skyrim, like, hidden. Detected.
Yeah. And then you got the eye opening up. And she's like, oh my god! And he's there. And the funny like chibis in Let's Play are a lot funnier than the goofy ones
oh my god, you mean the ooh faces?
Yeah, the creepy like fish people, the SpongeBob fish people in Lore Olympus. And so he goes, my voice returned, I had a great night of sleep. Now that I'm less grumpy, I thought I should stop by and be neighborly. And he's all sparkly. And then so she's looking at his super
insect-like torso.
Yeah, his thorax.
Yeah.
He's looking at his thorax. And he goes, gaming all day, I'll get quite the pudge if I don't work out. Do you have any plans for today? Like, this embarrassing, like, the most embarrassing, like, Freudian slip.
I know.
Starts talking about nipples. Simple. I'm taking him on a simple walk, not a nipple walk. And Marshall's like,
yeah.
You know? Then she goes, heading to a coffee shop to grab some coffee, you know, and he goes, ha ha ha. And I guess he didn't pick up on it.
No, you know, I think Marshall, actually, now that I've, like, reread this, I think Marshall knows that, like, women are attracted to him, and he kind of likes the attention.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't want to commit to...
And that's why when the fangirls come over and ask to hug him, he lets them.
Yeah.
Even though they're, like, clearly underage girls.
Like 16-year-olds.
Somebody take a picture and cancel him.
Yeah, that's what your plan should have been, Sam. That's if you want to get the dirt on Marshall, you do that. You send it to Keemstar.
Seriously?
Keemstar will be all over it. Right.
Yeah, because when the dog doesn't like him, he gets sad. He's like a people pleaser.
Yeah.
He likes being liked. That's why when he's like, no, I can't just let her game be negatively reviewed, and he gets worried when he's like, what if her game's still bad?
Yeah.
He doesn't like people being disappointed in him.
Yeah.
He's a people pleaser.
So he even brings up, hey puppy, sorry about last time. I shouldn't have picked you up like that. Want to be friends? And then Bowser's like, uh-uh. And then he's like, sad.
Yeah.
You know, so he is a people pleaser.
Yeah, he doesn't like being rejected.
He wants people to like him. And so, anyway, you wanted to speak with me last night. Sorry about making up the noise complaint excuse, but you seemed uncomfortable. And then he talks about how Monica's pretty intimidating, but she's actually a big softie once you get to know her. And then Sam recalls that hidden information that she snooped on about them secretly dating. And so then she tries to bring it up casually. You know, where is Monica? Don't you guys jog together? And then he goes, oh.
Yeah, he tries to deny. We're
Yeah.
just friends and colleagues. We don't really do anything outside of work together. What a random question. Except that she was at his apartment really late last night.
Yeah, and she's still at the apartment. Like, meanwhile, she's back at the apartment, right? She's looking at those boxes, and then she's thinking about his friends. And so, yeah, now's your chance to speak to me, because it's just me and you. And she goes, well, I need to go if I don't want to be late for work. And then he goes, well, I'm surprised you have any trouble speaking your mind, considering you chewed me out when we first met.
And that's true.
Yeah. And then she was about to talk to him about the game, presumably.
And then fangirls show up.
Yeah. And they're wearing, like, such... She's got the 6-pointed star
I know.
again. Is that, like, a reference to a game or something?
I don't know.
Oh, it's martial law. It's his sheriff badge. Oh, the lawman. Oh, cool. I thought it was, like, a Star of David.
I thought it was a Star of David too.
So I was like, what's going on here?
Is
You know?
everyone a Jew? Like, what's going on?
They're all wearing these, but it's the martial law thing. Yeah, that's not a good piece of merch.
No, it's not.
It's crappy merch.
It's
And then
bad merch.
again, you know, like the color of the darker skinned character.
She's like gray.
She's like the color of like one of those characters.
She's the color of this tree bark.
Yeah, and the blush color is totally just wrong.
I know.
So yeah, and like that color pink with that, you know, like
the color theory is really bad.
Yeah, but like if you just kind of like censor her out and just look at the redhead character, she looks okay. But then you look at her colors and you're like, what is this? Like some crappy DeviantArt OC that somebody made on a base on like Microsoft Paint? Like these colors are all wrong.
They're awful.
They don't even belong in the same scene.
No.
So yeah, that's
Nope.
episode 15.
That's episode 15.
Yeah, so closing thoughts. So we just got up to episode 15. Obviously, if I said we were going to do up to episode 30, we can scrub that. Because we didn't get there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we just did another 10 episodes in the bag. And had a couple of interesting conversations about what we perceived that Manji was going for. She just didn't quite stick the landing. Again, the problems of too many characters. And then some, like, interesting... asides, and then like things about, you know, stereotypes.
Race.
Yeah, stereotypes.
Race.
And just kind of giving you like insight into like her approach to drawing and like her approach to character design, and then again the colors. So yeah, for the most part, I think what Let's Play could have been, like if you wanted to make it an actual, because there's people on the first video talking about how they thought it would actually be a romance between two gamers, but it's not really shaping out
Dude, I mean, given the premise and given how much screen time Marshall is given in the beginning of the comic, I can see why people are disappointed. Because when Charles becomes the main dude for like a year, it's like, get the F out of here. I freaking hate Charles.
You know, it was interesting. I saw a comment on one of the chapters when he gave her the shirt.
Yeah.
Right? Like, one of the top comments, I think it was the top comment, that person said, hey, Mr. Sink Your Ship, get the F out of here. You know, take your nasty shirt and get out of here. You know, you're getting in the way of the main ship. And it's like, oh, I wonder how that person...
the tables have turned.
I wonder how that person's holding up after all this time.
Dude, because, like, after Charles and Sam become, like, main, people are saying, I don't want her to go back to Marshall.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people are literally, like, going, I want Charm to be Endgame.
Charm.
Yeah, that's, like, their ship name. I don't know what the Sam and Marshall ship name is. It's not Smarshall.
Smarm.
Smarm? I don't know. But, yeah, I can understand why, because, like, from my perspective, rereading it with fresh eyes, because I've never reread Let's Play. I reread Lore Olympus.
Yeah.
I've never reread Let's Play, so rereading it with fresh eyes is like, wow, I can't believe Charles is, like, the main love interest right now.
We haven't even gotten to the part in the discussion series where he shows up and, like, starts becoming...
Putting on the moves?
Yeah, and it's, like, really...
It's really jarring. It's
yeah.
really jarring.
It's, like, I don't even know what the...
Intention?
The intention or, like, the thought process. Like, what was the... When you sit down and you think about, like, so how do I want to introduce this character, right? Because he barely gets an introduction. You would think that he's just another one of the background characters at The Office. Like, when she first gets to The Office... like, if I hadn't known anything about Let's Play, I would have thought he was just one of her coworkers. I wouldn't have thought that there would be a romance.
Yeah, because he's not, like, especially good-looking.
No, he's
not that good-looking.
No, and he's kind of got, like, this arrogant prick attitude to him. So he's, like, the Draco.
Yeah,
right?
like, between him and Dallas, honestly, I can't say this because he's, like, an underage kid. But, like, between him and Dallas, I think Dallas is a more attractive character.
No, I think if you spruced up Abe a little bit, gave him a better wardrobe.
Abe has a really bad character design.
Yeah.
He has clown hair.
Yeah, like, if you change...
his hair looks like the head of a broccoli.
No, he literally looks like the way I drew freaking Azul for White Lark. Like a clown, right? Like, he doesn't look like a cool guy. If you made Abe cool, right? If you cleaned up his character design, gave him a better outfit, made him cool, he could have been the third love interest, and he would have been in the guild, the gaming guild, and then Charles could have been like, hey, you're not going to have 2 jobs under my watch. I'm competing for CEO position, and while you're doing your stupid little hobby thing, I'm the one who's actually putting in the hours. Mm-hmm. So even though your dad owns the company, I'm going to prove that I'm the better guy to be CEO, and he, like, tries to sabotage her gaming career or something, her game development career, and he becomes, like, the villain. You know?
I really like the idea of her and Marshall being coworkers and Marshall being a dick at work, but then a secret YouTuber.
Yes.
That idea has so much promise.
Yeah, secretly he's corpse husband.
Yeah, and, like, you can draw him as, like, a total gonk at work with, like, super big eye bags and, like, a very disinterested, flat expression. Mm-hmm. But then when he's in his YouTuber mode, you give him, like, the dual personality where he totally change, like, make it really anime, you know, like, he has an alter ego. Totally changes personas.
Give him the glasses where you can't see his eyes ever, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're just opaque white.
Like, this guy's so creepy. I think he wants to kill me sometimes.
Yeah. He's, like, got stubble, and he's got the opaque white glasses, and you can see his eye bags underneath, and when he takes them off, it's just 2 cavernous pits where his eyes are, because he's, like, so sleep-deprived all the time. And he's, like, computer-bleached skin, you know?
Basically, he looks like L.
Yeah, he looks like L from Death Note.
Yeah.
And then when he's like, what's up, everybody? Because, you know, Corpse Husband, the reason he's so popular is because he's got a really good voice.
He's got a charismatic persona.
Yeah, charismatic persona, and there's a lot of mystery and intrigue, and he's got a good voice. Mm-hmm. And so you give this guy a really good voice, but he barely talks in the meetings, right? And then it's like when he's at YouTube, he's got one of those microphones.
Yeah, because he has to save his voice.
Yeah, he's got to save it for the ASMR microphones, right? And he could have, like, a playlist where it's like ASMR, your gamer boyfriend.
Your YouTuber gamer boyfriend sings you to sleep.
Yeah, and Sam's like, oh, you know, I listen to it every night. It's so great. And then she hears him.
Her really make her super cringy.
She can hear him.
They could both have personas. He can have a YouTuber persona, and she could be super professional at work and have a cringe, disgusting otaku persona.
She does, like, she watches mukbangs during lunch. She watched, like, Nikocado Avocado during lunch.
Yeah, like, she could be a total train wreck when she's done at work.
Yeah.
And, like, at work, she's, like, super professional. But then at night, like, she binges, like, horrible stuff on YouTube. Like, she gets into all the drama on YouTube. Yeah. Maybe she participates in a gossip forum.
Yeah.
You know, like, at work, she's, like, so put together and, like, attractive. And then, like, at home, like, I wear these you know, really old Kigurumi.
Yeah.
This Pikachu Kigurumi.
It's like green.
And she's like embarrassing. And she's like, this is why I've never had a boyfriend. I tried to have one once and he ran away.
Yeah.
After like a long winter where I refused to shave my legs or something like that.
Yeah, like, oh, I wanted him to watch all these pimple popper videos of me, or like mukbangs or something.
I wanted him to watch, like, I wanted to binge watch the entire Pokemon series from the beginning. He thought I was weird and gross.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm not doing this. Like, you lived your entire life online. There's a whole world out there, and you're just living on the little, you know, black screen on your phone, because all you do is watch YouTube all day.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh man, really? Like, am I, like, embarrassing? Do I need to live in the real world and stuff? And then the more she starts paying attention to the real world, she's like, wait a second. But then that wouldn't even be about gaming at that point, right? That's about YouTube.
No, but you could make it about gaming if he's a YouTube gamer, and then she's a gamer, like, also, and, like, also embarrassing.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't, like, she could be an indie game developer, or she could be a gaming YouTuber.
Yeah.
Or, like, just something, but they both have alternate, like, split personalities. I think that would be really funny. Especially if you, like, you both had them, like, trying to hide their other persona, but his horrible persona comes out at work, and her horrible persona comes out at home.
Yeah.
And, like, she secretly has no social life.
Right.
So her only friend is, like, that flighty friend from college who works part-time as a barista, and then her other friend who's, like, she only met when she started working at the company. So they're not really friends. And then their friendship can develop as the comic goes on, as that lady starts, like, asking her to dinner and stuff, or lunch.
Yeah, and in that case, you could have the neighbor plot line where it's like, she works and she lives at a place that's really close to her work, where she can walk to work or take a quick commute or something, and then he moves closer to work too. And then at night, she hears this noise.
And then that's how she figures out it's him.
She's like, what is that noise, you know? And then she's like, oh crap, this is a double-edged sword, because it's like, I know he's there, but he could also find out about me.
And my embarrassing.
And me being, like, disgusting and embarrassing. Always getting takeout ordered to my apartment.
And she's, yeah, no, I mean, it would be really funny if, well, not funny, you could still keep the social anxiety thing if she, like, had an anxiety about people finding out who the real her is.
Yeah.
So she's always super buttoned up, and, like, you could do the thing where she's, like, really nervous whenever people ask her personal questions. But if it's a professional question, she's, like, really, you know, super competent, no nonsense, and everyone's, like, kind of scared of her. Like, she's, like, a dragon lady.
Yeah.
You know, suck up reputation, but, like, she's actually, like, pretty insecure.
Yeah, it'd be super funny if you had, like, a Jake Paul character.
Oh my god.
Who was, like, just obnoxious, you know, buy that merch.
Yeah.
don't flag this video, Jake, please. You know, I'm so sorry, Jake. But, you know, you have a Jake Paul character who's got beef with this guy or something, and, like, maybe her coworkers are talking about it in the break room, and she just, like, gets up and she goes, that guy's such a loser, like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And then this, like, you know, this secret YouTuber guy is just like, how do you know about that? How do you know about that beef with Paik Jal, you know, like, how did you know about that? And she's, like, all into the T channels.
Peter Jacob.
Yeah, Peter Jacob. Pete Jake. How did you know about Pete Jake, you know? Because, like, you know, the YouTuber apology, you could have, like, a David Dobrik type guy who's, like, a prank YouTuber who's, like, you know, whoa, prank you, bro. And that prank YouTuber, like, pranks this guy and reveals his identity. And then, since he's her neighbor now, she has to go beg David Dobrik, like, please don't show his identity. Like, and he's like, well, you know who he is. Are you his coworker? You know, are you guys, like, dating or something? And she's like, oh god, it's all spiraling out of control. Like, I gotta do something, you know? So you could do a lot with that, because it's so
that would be really funny.
There's so much stupidity.
I know, there's so much stupidity that you could do. It'd be funny.
And then he's got to put out, like, an apology. But you can have an apology arc where he gets canceled. He's got to apologize and do the YouTube apology tour.
Oh my gosh.
And all his sponsorships dry up, and he's like, oh, now what am I going to do? And
now I have to actually work at my job. You don't understand, the worst thing has happened.
Yeah, and then she's like, no, don't give up, you know, you gotta do a comeback. Because all the people, they get canceled, and then they do the comeback tour, like Shane Dawson, and all this other stuff, and they try to make themselves relevant again. So he could start going around saying he's an empath, and start doing documentaries, you know. And she's like, no, we're gonna make
they could do a collab.
They could do a collab, but she could be like, we're gonna do a face reveal, and that's gonna be your comeback, you know?
Yeah, she could do the, because she's really good at controlling her persona at work, so she could be, like, his social media manager.
Yeah.
And then she could also be, like, a game developer, and that's why she's really embarrassing, because she, like, when she goes home, she just, like, puts on these, like, really old, like, disgusting pajamas, and, like, one of those blackhead nose thingies.
Yeah, the Bior strips.
Yeah, the Bior strips.
Yeah.
And then sits in front of a computer and just, like, develops all night.
Yeah.
You know, while eating, like, takeout or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a really interesting plot.
But, I mean, that's so different.
It's so different, but, like, that's where my mind went. I mean, it's not as bad as Lore Olympus, where you have to, like, rewrite the whole thing. Like, Let's Play is fine.
Yeah.
But it's like, with that premise, you could have gone, like, further into the anime territory, where... Because, like, anime does it all the time, where there's, like, oh, secret persona of the perfectionist queen, you know?
Yeah, the, like, secret pop star thing is, like, really big.
Well, not only that, there's, like, so many manga where it's, like, the perfect straight-A student is actually, like, extremely embarrassing, or has, like, a secret cosplay hobby or something.
Yeah.
Secretly an otaku. And then, like, I feel like there's, like, at least 5 or 6 manga that are like that.
Yeah.
But there's, like, at least one where, like, the main female character, like, is super popular at school, but her secret is that she's a total lame loser.
Yeah.
And she just puts it on as, like, a fake persona.
And it goes into psychological horror, too. I mean, you've got stories where it's like you've got an outcast character, and then it's like, oh, I want to give this outcast character a chance, and then you find out that they're, like, a total, like, just disturbed, deranged
Yeah, they're,
individual.
like, an outcast for a reason.
Yeah. You know? So, yeah, there's lots of stuff like that, where it's the old switcheroo, and it's, like, a really interesting, like, mechanic to put into a slice of life story.
And especially, it's done very often in Japan, because Japan has such rigid, like, social rules. I feel like Nobuta Produce had that, too, where, like, Shuji was, like, embarrassing at home.
Yeah, and then you had Akira, who was just embarrassing all the time.
Yeah, he was his true self.
Yeah.
言わないで俺たち友達だもんねちげえだろつうかさこの際言わせてもらうけど
Yeah, so I think that's a very common mechanic, again, in anime, because it's like Japan has such a rigid social hierarchy. But I mean, the West kind of has that too, where it's like a lot of these people, what they say and do online, they would never do in public.
Yeah, especially if you're tapped into social media.
Yeah, and if you have like a professional job, like these characters all, like Sam has a professional job. And I think it would be really funny if you had like 2 professionals, ostensibly like normal people by societal standards, who have like secret YouTube channels, or like one of them's a secret game developer and one of them has a secret YouTube channel.
Yeah, because it's like a commentary on how you can create your entirely own life online.
Online, yeah.
And it's like, you wouldn't have been able to do that. Like, I don't think Manji is really into social media, right?
No.
She's probably a little bit older than us, so
she's way older than us.
Yeah, so she probably isn't tapped into the thing where it's like, yeah, you can be a totally different person online.
She started this comic when she was like 37.
Yeah.
And that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, so I mean, for her, like, she's referencing stuff that would have happened to her in her 20s that would have happened to, like, me and you in our teens. Like, young teens.
I don't think she's ever, because, you know, like, even me and you, we're not very online. I mean, we are now. It's like, you can obviously see us right now.
Yeah.
But we were never really dialed in online to the point where we had, like, personas online. Like, I think Gen Z today has a lot more of, like, online life versus real life than I ever did. And then people even older than me, like, they have, like, embarrassing live journals and stuff. But they don't live, they never lived as much of their, unless you were, like, a special case, like a real nerd. Most people didn't spend as much time online back then as they do now.
No.
Where it's like, kids now, like some Gen Z kids, like all of their friends are online.
Yeah, and
they have no friends in real life.
No, the way they act online versus in real life is totally different. It's totally different because they have to curate a certain persona. And so
that's why I think that plot line with the personas would have been really compelling to a younger audience.
It would have been to a younger audience, but it's not something that would have occurred to Manji at the time that she came up with the story.
But if you read a lot of shoujo manga, man.
Yeah, but to make the jump between shoujo manga and then being a YouTuber, because the generation of YouTubers, because she had a Q&A where she talked about the YouTubers that kind of shaped the inspiration behind martial laws characters. All those guys are like the earlier generation of YouTubers, where they didn't have to really make a fake persona.
No, because these guys never had like first of all, it's pre-cancel culture, so you could be like, you could be like 100% authentic on camera without getting canceled. And second of all, like, most of these guys never had, like back in the day, 2005, 2006, 2007, nobody really turned to YouTube when they had professional jobs or hobbies or degrees, or not hobbies, jobs or degrees as, like, a sort of side income. Like, me and you never would have gone on YouTube 10 years ago if we had the careers that we had. But now that YouTube is, like, known to be, like, a place where you can make a lot of money broadcasting yourself, a lot of people who have professional real-life jobs turned to YouTube, especially during the pandemic, and started a YouTube channel, like, anonymously or semi-anonymously, and had to put on that persona where it's like, nobody can know that I have a YouTube channel in real life.
Yeah, and, you know, it's like there's such a difference between, I guess, like, iDubbbz, right? And then some of the people who came out or who are on YouTube nowadays and who are starting their channel from scratch nowadays, iDubbbz pretty much started when he was in college, and by the time he finished his degree, he was making so much money on YouTube that he just started doing that full time. So he never had to do the thing where it's like, well, you know, if word gets out about this, I'll never be hired.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, people nowadays are so much more careful about what they have to say, because you have people on YouTube now who are, like, in their mid-20s who went from real jobs and had, like, real degrees to go to YouTube. So they have to be very careful about what they say and about how many people know what their channel looks like, what they say online. Like, I'm very careful about that because, again, even 10 years ago, 15 years ago, people didn't realize to what extent, you know, companies weren't using your Facebook page when they were hiring you.
No.
I mean, that's why I stayed away from social media, because I was really scared. Like, first of all, I think it's kind of a waste of time.
Yeah.
But also, like, I was really scared that, like, people would start stalking me through social media.
Yeah.
And they do. Companies do that now. So now it's like everyone who's online, like, a lot of Gen Z people are just completely anonymous online. Because they don't want people to know what they do, because it's gonna, like, Gen Z, who's lived their entire lives online, you can see every stupid thought that crossed their mind.
Yeah.
From the age of, like, 13 onwards.
There was an article that I saw, I was trying to find it, I couldn't find it, like, I can't find it now, but I'll probably find it later. But, they are, like, they don't realize the extent to which they're being tracked, monitored, and it's, the old saying is say it, forget it, write it, regret it. It's preserved forever on the internet. It's like, you can't get rid of it, and people will, you know, send emails to your managers if they find your profile on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and they will get you fired if you say something objectionable online.
Yeah, and it's really funny because that was never a concern 15 years ago, but also you have a lot of Gen Z, they're really upset when they get doxxed.
Yeah.
You know? And, like, again, 15 years ago, if you got doxxed, it wasn't that big of a deal, because even if you sent it to your manager would probably be a boomer, and they'd probably be like, oh, who cares, you know? Facebook, what's that? Now it's like, you know, so-and-so used the N-word on Twitter. Fired instantly.
Exactly.
You know?
Back in the day, they didn't have to worry about being canceled, but now it's a problem. So there's just a lot of drama in the YouTube sphere and the online internet personality sphere that you could have really capitalized on.
And it's such a shame because I know, and you haven't gotten there yet, you've never read it, but once Charles becomes, like, the main thing, the comic gets very boring because you lose all of that. Marshall becomes a background character. There's, like, no YouTube drama. It's all just about, like, Charles friggin' stupid wet flower BS. It's disgusting. Disgusting wet flower BS.
I don't want that. And then calling her Bunty, doesn't he do that too?
Yes. It's like Manji's brain got hijacked by a Welsh parasite. I don't know what happened. Or maybe Webtoon was like, no, we want an entire season full of Charles and Sam because it's a very popular ship.
Yeah. I think they probably tried to push the Charles and Sham.
Sham, wow. That's a ship. Sham.
Yeah, Charles and Sam, because they wanted, like, another Lore Olympus on the back burner or something.
Because he's, like, the older man who's, like, the boss.
The icy guy. And so it seems to me just...
That's what I've heard. There's an editor who likes that dynamic where the female character is, like, super meek and, like, naive, and the male character is, like, older and, like, dominant or whatever. And he's, like, the editor of, like, one of the editors of, like, apparently he edits a lot of top series.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they were pushing that dynamic.
Yeah, I mean...
But it just seems weird, because it seems like Lore Olympus has, like, no executive meddling. When somebody should be, like, freaking...
taking the red pen to the script every
chaining
day, right?
Rachel to a wall and getting her to write correctly. And taking away her TV.
You gotta sit her down in the Clockwork Orange chair.
You gotta put her in stress positions to get her to write properly.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, dude, if that's the winning formula, if that's what they want, you gotta do the old bait and switch. You come up with a story on canvas about an older guy and a woman, right? But then once you get greenlit, that's when you do the old switcheroo.
Yeah, but she was greenlit on the Marshall and Sam premise.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. But, like, I don't understand why we got an entire season of Charles.
Because things changed, probably. Things changed.
They basically just wanted her to clone Lore Olympus.
Yeah.
Once Lore Olympus became super popular.
So if that's what they're looking for, you make a story, you get that guy to be the love interest, you get the green light, you kill him in the first season, and then the real love interest.
I mean, it doesn't even work anymore because Webtoon sucks now. I mean, that's a topic for a different video.
Yeah.
Webtoon sucks now.
No point appeasing them.
No point even, like, honestly, if you want to do a webcomic, you do you, chase your dream, whatever.
Yeah.
But Webtoon now versus Webtoon 2018 is a totally different story.
No, they've stretched themselves so thin. I mean, if you're an aspiring webcomic creator, don't aim to be a Webtoon original. Go actually and read, try to find Explodikid, her response on that one subreddit post about Webtoons.
Was that the person who did
Covenant?
Explodikid. But there's also the creator of Nevermore,
yeah,
who also sat down and did a really informative AMA.
Kit something?
Kit Trace.
Kit Trace and Kate Flynn. Kit and Kate.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they just did an AMA on Reddit a few months ago talking about the horrible conditions, and that's for Webtoon Originals.
And they're doing 2.
Yeah, and that's for Webtoon Originals. We were, like, stuck in the Canvas ghetto for, like, 6 months, and, like, between you and me, and you, honestly, I think our content in terms of art and chapter length and quality was some of the best in the Canvas section, and they were taking our comic, promoting it, using it to gain views, and then when it came to monetization, we hit the monetization threshold, they refused to pay us for one reason or another, but basically they're just, like, screwing creators over.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even bother with Webtoon at this point. They friggin' suck.
They don't want to pay creators, and
they don't want to pay creators.
Even if they do pay you, they're not going to be paying you the market rate for the amount of work you're going to have to put into your series, because it's no walk in the park. It's very labor intensive.
It's very difficult to do a full color comic with the amount of panels that they're asking you to do every week.
You got to pay out of pocket for your own assistants too. They don't give you that, and then the entire planning process, the 6 months that you spend workshopping the story, is unpaid, basically.
And they only pay you like the base is like $800 a month or $800 a chapter.
Yeah.
So in order to like make somewhat decent money, you'd have to be doing 2 chapters a week, which isn't feasible. It's not possible.
No,
not possible.
Not at the quality they want it.
No.
They want it in full color. 70 panels
with good art.
Yeah, like no way, dude.
So, yeah, I think we could do a video on Webtoon if anyone's interested, but Webtoon sucks.
Yeah.
And that's what I would call the video. Webtoon sucks. 2022. Don't post your comic on Webtoon.
Yeah, it'd be
some inflammatory clickbait title.
Yeah, another goblin mode thing.
Yeah, another goblin mode.
Let them come. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, what can they do? They can't sue us for telling our opinion.
No, I mean, they can't even, like, I don't care about my comic anymore. I haven't posted in months. People are saying, oh, a new update. Nah, sorry.
Pay me first.
Yeah, like, I just don't care about it anymore. I was never attached to it to begin with, but, like, now I don't care at all. It's like, no, I got other things to do that I care about more. So, yeah, with that being said, I guess, that just concludes the finishing thoughts, right? Unless you have anything else to say.
I don't have anything else.
So, hope you guys enjoyed the second installment of our Let's Play series. If you guys have any fun ideas for alternatives that you would have done with the premise, feel free to leave those in a comment below. We're seeing really good comments from you guys on our Lore Olympus video. Yep. The Goblin Mode one was the one that we just uploaded at the time of filming this. And there was, like, some great ideas about, like, a necklace blocking Persephone's powers. Some really good things. People noticed about the hair. Apollo saying her hair.
Oh, yeah.
You think you could get a pixie cut? There was a great comment from someone who always comments.
Yeah.
And that's so awesome to see that you guys are picking up on things that we didn't even pick up on.
There was also a really good comment about Thanatos and Daphne, how Daphne could have been characterized as having, like, a morbid fascination with death.
Yeah.
If she had witnessed the act of wrath and, like, her flower sister is getting dusted before it. Especially because, like, there's a 10-year time skip and Daphne's still alive, I guess because she was trapped in a tree. But it's like, they say flower nymphs have such a short lifespan, but they never, like, quantify what that is, or show you that Thanatos is concerned about Daphne dying on him.
And he's the god of death,
because he's immortal. Yeah, he's a god.
Yeah.
And she's a flower nymph. So it's like, is that ever going to be an issue in their relationship? Ever?
Probably not. But that's a really good point, too.
It is, yeah. Flower nymphs are... She specifically says flower nymphs don't live very long. They're very fragile. But, like, Daphne, that never comes up. So it's just like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really insightful comment about, that characterization of Daphne, like, going to the underworld to specifically to seek out Thanatos, because she has a fascination with mortality, because she's, like, compared to all the other beings in Lore Olympus, she has, like, one of the shortest lifespans.
Yeah.
So, would have been interesting. Would have been a very tragic romance.
Yeah, and so, obviously, as we go through Let's Play, we're going to have more stuff that we're probably going to talk about. Like, why didn't you do this? Why are you doing that?
Charles
That's
being a
weird.
creep.
Yeah, creepy Charles.
Creepy Charles.
Creepy Jones, you know, Charles Jones, fake name. He had to move states because he's a wanted man.
He's a serial killer.
Yeah. So, yeah, lots of...
The Welsh accent's fake.
It is. It's a fake accent, phony baloney accent. And he's just going to become like a talented Mr. Ripley, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
I guess. The Let's Play equivalent of Persephone.
Oh, yeah. You know, they would... Oh, dude. Make a comic about those guys, right? Like,
Charles and Persephone.
It's going to be like the Timmy Jimmy Power Hour from Nickelodeon, but it's going to be the Charles Persephone Power Hour.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, obviously, as the comic goes on, some people say it gets way worse, so maybe the tone will change.
I didn't remember how much better the first couple chapters were, but now that I'm like rereading it and knowing what's going to come later, I'm like, oh yeah, it actually did fall off a cliff.
Yeah, cool.
It actually did fall off a cliff.
Cool, yeah.
Sad.
It's definitely noticeably worse for me too. So yeah, we'll leave you guys with that, and feel free to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you next time. Same Let's Play, same sofa, same setup, same people, different outfits.
See ya.